Welcome to the Galen Trombley Show. You can find me on Facebook at Galen Trombley, on Instagram at Galen Trombley, and on YouTube at Galen Trombley. Spelling GaelenTrombley. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the Galen Trombley Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 198 of the Galen Trombley Show. My guest today, I'm really excited because as a kid growing up, I love magic, and I still love magic, and I find, I could watch YouTube videos of magicians, and back in the day, you'd watch all these, different specials and TV shows with people doing magic. So I've always had a fascination with it, and we in the North Country, Adirondacks, are lucky to have our own magician, Illusionist here, and he joins me today, Wyatt Hackett, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself, but I know you've done a lot of magic throughout the last couple of years, but then just hearing when you started, you obviously, this is not new to you. You've been doing this almost your entire life. So Wyatt, welcome. And for people that do not know you, kind of give us a little introduction, who you are, where you came from.
Absolutely.
How did you become the magician from the Adirondacks?
So a little background. Well, first, thank you for having me.
And you can pull that right here.
Perfect.
Nope.
Oh, this bad boy?
Yeah, pull that away. You don't need that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
There you go. Make it a little more comfortable for you.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you so much for having me. This is my first time on a podcast, and I gotta say the experience is pretty cool already. Like all this setup and everything is awesome. But I've been doing magic since I was 5, and I kind of got started into it with a magic kit, like most people do. But I broke everything in it because I had no idea what I was doing. And then I eventually would learn more tricks, and I got better and started performing for like smaller things, like my family Christmas parties. I'd like do the little cups and balls trick for everybody and try to fool them and stuff. And then I started doing more and more, and then eventually there was a talent show for my 3rd grade class in Bailey Avenue, and I took my Chihuahua and I put it in a bread box, closed it, opened it back up, turned it into a stuffed animal Chihuahua, closed it back up, and it was back into my real Chihuahua. So it's kind of the stuff I was doing at a young age, and then I started learning more and more stuff. It wasn't the typical, rabbit out of a hat, but got a lot of playground credit after that.
So 5 years old. How did you get introduced to magic?
So I got a magic kit, but the first thing I saw a magician when I was really young, mm-hmm. and he did the classic sponge ball in your hand and it disappeared. And at that age, I didn't know it was a trick. I thought it was real magic, right? Yeah. So I remember I was in a store and I saw like a magic book and it had those sponge balls. And I was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to be able to go in class and just pull a bunch of these sponge balls out of everywhere. And people are going to think, like, how am I doing this? Not knowing that there's a lot of work that had to be done to make it look like that. So when I got them and I was like, why is there only 4 of them? Why isn't there like a ton of them coming out? I was so confused. And then my mom's like, no, you got to read it and learn how to do it. And then that's when it all kind of clicked, like, wow, this is a lot harder. For one, it kind of showed that there's a trick behind it for me for some of the tricks. But that kind of opened the door to, the possibilities of what people on the outside see,
So is there anybody else, like family or friends, that was doing magic back at that age?
Nobody.
Okay, yeah. So this was just pure, you saw it was cool,
yeah.
Let me try it.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of a young, curious mind.
Right.
Yeah. So you started young. When did you start performing? Was it 3rd grade, you said?
So
Bailey?
that was I kind of walked away from it for a sense. Like I always was. It's hard to explain because it wasn't always like just hard on doing magic for people. Like I did the talent show because I thought like it would be cool to come up with a trick. But even though I wouldn't always do magic tricks, I like things that looked confusing to people. And like, how did they do that? You know what I mean? Like if it was somebody could twist their arm a certain way, or somebody could do something with their body that was weird, or something looked like it was like sticking, it looked like it was floating, and people were like, oh, how's that done? I wanted to learn how to do it. Not even calling myself a magician, but I just liked that awe factor to making people impressed. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even if that was like in sports, like be able to do a cool trick shot, just that wowing factor for things. So I learned stuff off YouTube, like tricks with like, ripping something in half, putting it back together and stuff. But I never called myself a magician. I would just do those tricks and then, move on from it. But once I started hitting middle school, my dad, when I was around 12 years old, showed me a card trick, and I hated card magic. Like I thought it was all math, and I hate math. So he showed it to me, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it. And I freaked out. And he's not a magician. He just, as a kid, worked at a bar, and he learned it.
Yep.
And so he showed it to me, and I just lost it. And then I ran upstairs, and I woke up my mom, and I showed it to her. And she was like, what? Like, how's he doing that? You know what I mean? So then I went to school the next day into my math class. And I did it for my math teacher. And the tricks, basically, they have them name any card, and then you have the cards in your pocket, and you tell them to name any number 1 through 52, and you pull it out on that number. So they said like 30, the 30th card would be the card they picked. So I was counting all the way up, and then everybody around started like getting in a circle around me, and my math teacher is like so confused because she doesn't think it's gonna work. And then I pulled out, and then she just screamed at the top of her lungs, and then everybody clapped, and I was like, yeah, this is what I gotta do. So then I just started doing that same trick over and over, and then I learned more and more tricks, and then I started like practicing and not practicing, because I wouldn't always call myself like, you know, a full-on magician at that time. I just like almost as a hobby of it, but I always came back to it. Like ever since I was a kid, there's be some time period where I'd be learning, you know, some kind of magic. So
that was like the aha moment. Like I like this.
Yeah.
Got the juices flowing.
Exactly.
And you were how old? Probably like 13, 12, 13?
Yeah, about 12 years old. Yeah.
And since that time, has it been all magic, like all the time? It's always been a hobby, or you said you kind of went in and out of magic?
So ever since then, I guess I'd say like there would be a few months where I'd just be like strong gun ho on it, and I'd be doing it in class and stuff, and then it would kind of, you know, fade out. But then I remember in 10th grade, my teacher, because I was getting really solid into it, I was doing magic at Sam's workshop, and I was like, this is, you know, like I could see myself doing this as like some kind of career. But I always like wanted to be like either like a state trooper or a forest ranger and stuff, because I didn't see magic as a realistic goal to be able to like make an income and stuff. I never saw like the possibilities of that. So, but one of my teachers came up to me, another math teacher, his name was Mr. Karen, and he said, Wyatt, there's this Plattsburgh's Got Talent, like you should try out for it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. You know, so I was like, well, I'll try it. So I ended up forgetting about it. And then I saw the last date before I was supposed to go in, like, and I was on my phone, and I was like, I should just send something in just for, you know, giggles. Like, it's the last day. They probably won't get back to me. So I sent a video in of me doing magic at a card table, like with my friends in school, like messing with them.
Yeah. And
they got back to me, and they loved it. And they said, yeah, we want you to compete. So I ran downstairs and told my parents, and I was like freaking out. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I didn't just send that video, and I didn't think I was going to go anywhere with it. So they're like, well, you're going to have to try to compete. So then I ended up going, and I left Santa's workshop because it was like a week process. And I told them I'm going to go compete in a talent show. And they're like, you better not come back unless you win, right? So I was like, oh, whatever. So I went down there, and in the first round, I dressed all up and got all ready, and I did this trick where I could basically have this huge easel. And I was like so unbelievably nervous.
And how old were you at the time?
So I'd say about like 14 or 15 at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe 16, I think it might have been at that. Yeah, I was 16 because I remember I was just about to get my first car. So, but I was there, and when I was auditioning for the first one, I saw all these acts like from Vermont and these singers, and I was the only magician, but there was Vanquillitress, and I'm just like super nervous, and I'm kind of just looking around, and I remember all of them were talking about like what it would be to win and stuff, and I was like talking to this one guy, I was like, dude, you're gonna win, like you're a great singer, like he's unbelievable. So then I went to do my first thing, and I had this huge easel. And I had one of the judges name any like color, and then but before I'd write it down, I'd say just think of a color, and then I'd say what's your color, and they'd be like blue. So I'd rip off the paper and throw it down like I messed up, and then I'd say all right, let's think of a 3-digit number. So I'd write something down, and then I'd put my marker down, and be like what's the number, and they'd say it, and then I'd rip it off and throw it down. So everybody's like, oh, this poor kid, you know what I mean? He's like all nervous and stuff. So then I was like, okay, name any card. All right, just think of it first, and then I wrote it down, and I said it, and I ripped it off and threw it on the ground. And I basically told him, I was like, the best thing about magic, you know, is when you mess up, sometimes you can fix it. And then I undid all 3 pieces of paper, and it was matched every single judge's thing. And everybody went nuts because they thought I was just some kid that was super. And I was nervous, but, you know, it was cool because my nerves added on to the trick, which I didn't even realize because I was so nervous.
Sold it a bit.
Yeah, and everybody thought that nerves was like, oh, he's messing up, this poor kid. We want him to get it right, you know what I mean? And I ended up getting them all right, and then I got a perfect score and moved on to the next round. And my parents and I never forget the look on my parents and my girlfriend's face. My girlfriend, I gotta also say, is one of my biggest supporters. Like, if I can fool her, then I'll take it out.
And she's your assistant?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I just proposed to her too last December, and now we're going to be getting married in Salem, where the witches were hung.
Nice.
Ironically.
All right.
But
hopefully a better event, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I definitely got to give props to her and my family when it came to this talent show, because like I got such tunnel vision after I won that first competition, because I was like, man, I could actually, go pretty far in this if I work hard enough. And I was freaking out because I didn't even think I was going to make it past the first round. So now I'm trying to think of all these tricks to do. And this is right in downtown Plattsburgh. And I'm trying to think of all these tricks, and I don't know what to do. I'm getting in my own head because I'm thinking about so much stuff. So then the second round comes, and the trick I did was I had a Dorito bag hidden inside a box, and I had a book, and I had a deck of cards. So I had the first judge, which was Taylor LaValle at this time. Yep. And she took the book, and I told her to open up to any page, and she opened it up, and I said, remember the first word and the page number? And she remembered it and wrote it down. And then I had the other judge name any food, and they said Doritos. So I opened up the box, and it was Doritos. And then I told him to go to that page number, and it was gone. And I told him to open up the Doritos, and the page was sealed inside the Dorito bag.
Sealed inside?
Yeah, like it was sealed, and that was the page, and the word was written all in Sharpie on front, the first word on the page, and then it was a perfect fit. So then I made it to the next round, and now I'm just like going crazy. I'm like, I don't even know like how this is possible.
So when you're doing these tricks,
yeah,
like there's certain elements of magic that I watch, and I'm like, I could probably see it. Like when things are sealed inside something, and I'm like, how does that possible?
Right.
So I'm not going to ask you how you did it. I'm not going to, but like on a scale of like 1 to 10, how hard of a trick do you think that is for you to pull off? Is that like, no, I'm like, I feel like that's pretty easy. And then like I've definitely upped that trick. Like that was that, like now it's considered that like an easy trick for me to do.
So during that time, like coming up with how to get the page and everything in the Doritos and what's all that stuff, that was such a process. Like that was super hard. And even if I didn't know how to do that and I was trying to do it right now, it would still be super hard. But now that I know how to do it and now I've got it down, it's relatively easy, but I still do it all the time. Like I'll do the same thing. Like I'll have somebody pick a page and maybe it'll be inside an apple or something like that.
Oh, so you can change it around.
Yeah. So it's a great trick. But during that time, like I spent hours and hours with my family sitting around a table and, trying to come up with this trick and how we could do it and how we could make it possible. And that was the hardest part, so it's always with every trick, finding that like good juicy part to where the thing can end up or how the trick is developed. That's probably the hardest part. But once you got it, with practice, it kind of stays there unless you don't do it for a while. Then it's like starting over.
Okay, so we'll come back to that. So finish with the story. So you did the Dorito trick,
right? So then I made it to the next round, and at this point, I was just so happy to make it. Like I couldn't even believe now I'm on like day 3. So now I'm just freaking out. Like we're driving home. I was driving home with my sister and my fiance, and we're just trying to think. They're like, "What are you gonna do for tomorrow?" and stuff. And I'm like, not even like I must have been so like angry and rude because I was so distracted and like freaking out because I couldn't even believe I made it this round. And I had no idea what I was gonna do next. And I just
say in a day too.
Yeah, and I didn't plan anything like for the next day because I didn't have confidence that I would make it to the next round. So I just figured, I'll shoot for this and hopefully I make it. So I didn't plan anything if I were to make it to this round because I didn't think it was possible. So this is kind of where I started to get my confidence in magic and doing stage magic was from this talent show. So then the next day, early in the morning, I was freaking out, and my mom's like, she's like, what do you want to do? Like, how are we going to come up with a trick? I was like, I really don't know what to do. I was like, can we just, drive to a store and maybe look around and look for something to, do stuff with? And she's like, yeah. So we drove to Walmart, and we were just like going through the stuff, and I was like, grab this. And she's like, why? I was like, I don't know. Let's just grab it. I'm going to try to do something with it. I was like, grab that pineapple. Let's try to figure something with that. So I just had all this random stuff. And to this day, I'll go into a dollar store and just look at all this random stuff and try to think of tricks. And that's kind of where the creativity flows. So after we got home, we put together this crazy trick that's like, I don't even know why. Like, I can't even believe it worked. But we put it, it was so risky. But it took hours, the whole day to put together. And it comes competition time. I'm all dressed up. And now I have like all my family here. I got friends here. I got all these people that, I went to school with videotaping it. And I'm like super nervous now. Yeah. And I'm sitting down and I'm talking to my fiance and I'm like, I should just leave. I don't even want to, like, I'm so nervous right now. And she's like, no, you got it. Like trying to keep me relaxed. And I had this really, really solid trick that I wanted to use. And I was like super solid, but really, really risky. And I was like, and this is one of the biggest things in my life that really taught me to shoot for first place every time. And it was to, risk it all. because I had this trick and I knew it. Like I felt it that if I use this trick right now, it could get me into the top, 3. Like I was like, if I use this, I can get to the top 3 if it works. And I was like, but I could also save it, do another trick, and if I get into the top 3, I can use this one as my big one.
Because you thought this was like a winning trick.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I was like, you know what? Be satisfied with top 3 and go home saying, oh, I got it in the top 3, or try to risk it all and either not make it in the top 3. But if I do make it a top 3, I could possibly win with this big trick. So I didn't know what to do. And I was on the phone with my dad. I was like, I just don't know what to do. He's like, there's no risk without reward, So I was like, I'll save it, So I was like, I'm just going to try to take all these tricks I know and do this trick. So I end up going for the judges, and I had a bunch of these like gross foods.
So this is like a backup trick now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just if I get in the top 3, this will be the trick I'll use. Cause I feel like, cause what I was worried about is if I use this nice trick and I do get in the top 3, I have no material to use now because I have no winning shot. I'm just going to have to try to do it with the stuff I've learned in the past. But I wanted this ace in the hole.
Yeah.
So I ended up saving it. So when I'm going and I'm competing on this, there's like 5 people left in the competition to see who makes it to the top 3. The trick I did was I had a bunch of papers written down with a bunch of random gross food. So I had like sardines, I had like mayonnaise, and I hate mayonnaise.
Okay.
all this like gross stuff, and there was one of them that was good. So I had them pick any one they wanted. They ended up picking one that said cupcakes. And then I told them to flip the rest of the papers over to see which ones they could have had, and they were all gross. And I gave them a box of Ronbox bakery cupcakes, kind of sweeten them up a little bit to help them on my side. And then I had the judge name anything he wanted, like any food, any drink. I said, anything you want. And I had that pineapple wrapped up like a Christmas gift, right? To use as my final one to show what I would guess would be right. And he said root beer. So I opened up and I show it's a pineapple. And everybody's like, oh no, right? And then I told him, I pulled out a straw and I said, stab it into the pineapple. And he stabbed it in and drank, and up came root beer through the straw out of the pineapple. So, and everybody went nuts. He's like, yeah, root beer. And then everybody started clapping. So I was like, yes. And I couldn't believe it worked because that one took hours and hours to do. And that trick's never been done. Like that was 100% original, and it took hours to figure out how to get it to work, and it worked. So I couldn't believe it. And then I made it to the top 3. And now I have that ace in the hole that I've been waiting to use.
So let me do a little aside before we go to the finals. So again, I'm just going to go with the idea that you had a pineapple that was there, and you said, this is where I'm always fascinated, because when you give an unlimited option to somebody and you say, listen, he says root beer.
Yeah.
Could have said Sprite, could have said pizza, could have said whatever, dumplings. All of a sudden he drinks out of a straw. Like what happens if he would have said cheeseburger? Then it's like, and this is where I don't get it, because I'm like, okay, for some odd reason he had root beer in there, but he doesn't. And then this is obviously someone that doesn't know magic, but that's always where I'm fascinated, where you just really, and I think that magic has evolved, and we'll kind of talk about that, but where I find that nowadays you're getting a lot more randomized stuff. Like, hey, pick whatever, and then you end up kind of almost like that drawing thing.
It's more freedom,
Yeah. So, okay, so go to am I right on saying that you obviously know how to do it, but there's got to be some element of more complexity or more risk reward by saying you have any option.
You're absolutely right. Like on a side note, a lot of card tricks you've probably seen too. One of the most basic card tricks that everybody first learns is the card trick, which is 3 rows of 7. So you have them pick a card, and then you show 3 rows of 7. You say, touch what pile your cards in, and then you scoop them up. Then you do it again and say, touch what card your pile's in. And then you deal like 21 cards, and that 21st card is their card. It's like a math trick.
It's elimination.
Yeah. And it's impressive. It's a math trick. But now if you were to take that and it wasn't so, like cards on the table and rows and math, which everybody knows, it's a math trick, and you were to just have them pick a card, and that card was somewhere like upside down in the deck, for example, it's right to the point. It's not like there's no like other obstacles in it. Like in Magic, you don't want to do stuff that makes them ask like, well, why is that involved? You know what I mean? Like if I were to have you write something on a piece of paper, and then I were to, just put it on my hand and then tell you what it is, why do I have to put it on my hand? You know what I mean? To tell you what it is. You should be able to kind of just think of that word, and I should be able to tell you what it is. So when you're watching it, if you look for those odd things that, don't quite make sense, or why people put their hand a certain way, or why are they putting their hands in their pocket, why are they dropping them below the table, that's kind of where you can, see how the trick is done. So it's the more natural, the more straight to the point things are, that's where it's kind of like, how's it done? You know what I mean?
Are there like principles of magic, like guiding principles that like, you know, kind of like mathematics. Like there's certain principles that just you can't, that they're always that.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming like some things in magic are just always that in every trick. They're like tried and true. Like this principle cannot be broken by any magic trick.
Yeah, some of them, like there's certain methods to tricks on how they work. But what's cool about magic, the one thing that I always try to stay true to is I never plan my shows, which is crazy. And at first it was crazy and it didn't work. But I wouldn't plan them. I wouldn't set anything up, because what happens is if you plan your show out to a certain extent and you put like certain words in certain pattern, like what magicians will say, or certain jokes in certain spots, it almost comes robotic. You know, so like it'd be like watching TV. It's entertaining, but it's not intimate and like real life and, you know, real. So that's why I try to do all my tricks, and I don't even know what I'm gonna do. Like when I go do my shows or close-up magic, I don't plan anything. I'll just have them pick a card, I'll put in the deck, and then I'll try something, and then I'll feed off their energy. And if they like it, you know, I'll do something else with it, or I'll try new stuff in that moment. And I mess up so much. And people always ask, like, do you mess up? And I do, but I don't ever show it, because it ends up being way better than the original trick was supposed to be. Like one time I dropped a card on the ground, and they're like, oh, you dropped the card. I'm like, no, just leave it. And it landed face down. And then I had them pick a card. I put it back in the deck, made it come to the top. And then I put it back in the deck, put it in their hand, changed it, put it back to the top. And then I had them put it in their hand. It changed, and it was the card on the ground. You see what I'm saying? And I never meant to drop that card on the ground.
But you knew how you could incorporate that?
Yeah, and it made the trick way more better than it was even going to be. You know what I mean? Way more impressive.
Do you, even though you know what you're doing, I'm assuming you look at that, and in your mind, I mean, you're like playing pool. You're so many shots ahead of everybody else,
right,
that you can see it. And usually I find, like, anybody that's successful, you start understanding the nuances, and you can see patterns and recognize things that are going to happen before the common person would.
Yeah.
Does that give you a level of excitement where you're like, cards on the ground, like, let me see if I can pull that in?
Yeah.
That must get like you excited,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it definitely does.
You're smiling just talking as you're explaining it. So I can feel like your excitement come through.
Yeah, it's true. That was a great way of saying it. It's like seeing those patterns and seeing how you can, you know, transition it into something else. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you find that that's natural, or has that been just through practice? Like, did that come natural to you, or you really had to force yourself to see that?
It really had to come with just, you know, not practicing at all, like in the moment. Like obviously I'll practice tricks at home, and it's basically taking all the knowledge that I've learned over the years, you know, whether it's from YouTube or it's from books or it's from watching other magicians, and putting it all into, you know, one thing, and then using those different tools and methods in any trick possible. So it's not like I try to remember it. Like people ask me, how many tricks do you know? You know, if you know how to like make a card produce or put a card somewhere, you know, like 1,000 tricks. You know how to put a card in 1,000 different places, you know, 1,000 tricks. You know what I mean? So it's taking all those tools and putting them together and just doing tricks off, you know, how people react and take things. It's not just, you know, I have them pick a card, I put it in the deck, and it's going to be on top. That's one trick. And I'm going to do that trick. It's have them put in the card. You don't know where it's going to end up. It could add principles into it, could cut it in half, you could put it back together, you know, it's just everything combined.
So there's a lot of themes that you can run with.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then that's where creativity goes. I'm going to take that theme of the root beer and the pineapple, and that might be like eating pizza out of like a sneaker or something.
Right, yeah.
Like you could just figure out how to do that.
Yeah, something crazy. It's just finding something. Like the one way that I really come up with tricks, and I feel like it's one of the best ways for me personally, is I'll think of a concept. Like one of the tricks I'm working on right now, I'll let you in on, is having somebody pick a card, sign it, and then I take a balloon out of my pocket, blow it up, and they pop it, and the signed card's inside the balloon. So that was when I was just playing with before I came here. I was like, how would I get a card in a balloon that's actually signed? Because you could get a card in a balloon that's not signed, right? By doing it some kind of thing. But if they sign it, you can't copy that signature.
Correct.
And that makes it impossible.
Yeah.
So then I kind of work backwards, and I think how I can make that happen. You know, so that's kind of how I like to develop tricks.
So there's like a reasoning aspect, or like first principles of like, how do I can... okay, I'm following this.
Yeah. So then I try to reach back into things I know, but a lot of the times you got to just come up with something that's not out there. Like there's no how-to on how to get a card in a balloon that's already signed. You know what I mean? There's nothing out there. So now right now I'm just trying to play around and buy a bunch of balloons and figure something out, but there's no book showing me how to do that.
But there's a theme as to like what you're trying to accomplish. Like meaning like someone in person signs a card, I get an object signed, or an object done live
Right.
inside something else. Like
Yeah.
that would be your theme, and then you just decide, okay, it's a card, it's a signature, it's a balloon.
Exactly. And you
Okay.
can do it like with a water bottle. You get a signed card and, a water bottle.
But it could be someone breaking a pencil in half or something. It could
Yep.
be just an act of someone folded a piece of paper and burned the edge.
Right.
But that's an act that's live. And
Right. Yep.
Okay, so let's go. So now keep going with your story. So we're going on tangents of this big story here. So you got through. You had the pineapple. You had the root beer trick. And
Okay.
then after, so start. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I'm in the top 3, and I went, and I'll let you in on before I tell you. So I went to my parents, and I told them, I'm like, okay, you guys know what to do? And they're like, yeah, we know what to do, right? And I'll get to that. So I was like, when I point, you got to be sure to be right on cue, because we had something big planned, right?
And this is also happening the following night.
No, this is the same night, because they ended up saying that. So so they showed us the top 3, right? And then they ended up saying we're all going to do one more round. And I was like, I saved this trick for last, so now I can, I have this trick to use and nobody knows about it, and I'm good. I'm glad I've used it, because this is something like, how would I have had this planned? You know what I mean?
Did you know the final was that night?
No.
So you thought you would have another day to
Yeah,
prep.
and
Wow.
they said, because the judges spoke with each other, and they said, we're going to do one more round with these top 3 to decide the winner. But I saved that trick, right? So I had that with me, and I was ready to use it, because I was going to use it to get me to that top 3. But now I have it. So and all the other 2 performers, it was a singer and a dance group, and they were scrambling they're like, what? We thought we would have another day, you know what I mean? So now they're trying to figure out what to do, and I'm just sitting there with a big smile on my face, because I made the best decision I could have possibly made in that very moment.
Yeah.
So I went over to my parents. I'm like, you guys know what to do. So I go up to my turn, and I end up, it was so cool. I did a bunch of opener tricks just to try to get everybody warmed up, because I had a time slotted to me for my performance. So I did this glow stick trick where I had everybody have a glow stick, and then I had the person eliminate one at a time until we were left with one person, and that person took out their glow stick and it was orange, and the rest of the group took out their glow sticks and they were all red. So the one person they picked out, the one color that wasn't of the rest. And then I did a few card tricks where they ripped it and they were all matched together. And then I went, and during the middle of my show, this guy comes through, this singer. I don't remember his name, but he's like a popular singer from this area. And he comes through, and he was on tour or something like that. And everybody stops, and they're like, oh, it's this guy. And I was like, come here. And I called him over during my show. And I had him, so now it's completely random, right? And I was like, and I had him name any number. I was like, name any number. Like, you have whole deck of cards, just name any number. He's like, 2. I was like, okay. I was like, now you know your suits? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you got spades, hearts, clubs, diamond. I was like, name any suit. He's like, heart. I was like, okay, you sure you want 2 of hearts? He's like, yes. So then I turned over, the bridge right over here in downtown Plattsburgh, right where the monument is.
Yeah.
So I turned over and I pointed. I said, now. And everybody looked over, and I had a 30-foot tall banner drop from the bridge with the 2 of hearts spray painted on it, the card. And it dropped, and it dipped the water perfectly. And there's video of it. It dipped the water perfectly and came up, and everybody just went nuts. And then my family was clapping, and it worked perfectly. And then
that was the main trick.
Yeah, that was the main trick. And then everybody was, the adrenaline that went through me because of how
so
beautiful.
Wild.
And it was right on video. They have it perfectly dipping and touching the water, the 2 of hearts, and everybody clapped. And then we went to do the final thing, and I ended up winning it. And my parents came running over, my fiance and my sister, and I hugged them, and they were crying.
So
and I just couldn't believe it. And it felt unbelievable, and it showed me what my potential and believing in yourself can do,
And this was a few years ago then.
Yeah. Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, and especially what felt amazing was the teacher that went and told me that I should audition for it was there and watched it happen.
That's so crazy.
So the fact that he said you should try it, and I ended up winning it, I loved that. That was one of my proudest things, that he saw that.
How many people do you think were in the audience?
There's definitely
Probably a couple hundred.
Yeah, a couple hundred. Yeah, because they were all sitting up on the hill, and there was people all over, and people watching, walking by, coming down. There was a ton, and it just felt amazing.
Was that your biggest audience to date?
No.
So you had performed in front of more people?
Oh, today.
I mean, at that time, was that the most you'd ever performed in front of?
It's hard because the school talent shows, there's a few hundred, but competitively, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with no pressure. Yeah, this was definitely the pressure the most. Yeah.
So is that your favorite trick that you've ever done to date, just because of the moment?
Yeah, probably. Just everything was.
That's so wild.
The stars aligned. I don't know. It just was perfect.
It was also a big visual thing too that
Yeah.
people just freak out.
Mm-hmm.
And you happen to get you said this was a fairly well-known singer at the time?
Yeah.
That's still pretty cool though.
Yeah, and it just kind of paved the way, of what I could do. Because I don't know what happened if I would have lost that first round. You know, if I would have been a magician today, I really don't know what would happen. But it's like that kind of opened the doors to show what the possibilities are. You know, so I felt like a rock star after. It just was crazy.
So what happened after you won that? Did opportunities open up?
Yeah, so I got $500 reward, which I went and used for my car, and then I also got to perform at the Strand Theater. To raise money for hospice. So I went and I did that, which I did another cool trick. I'll let you know about that too. But yeah, I got those, and I went to Sam's workshop the next day, and they're like, "Did you win it?" I was like, "I won it." You know what I mean? It just felt amazing, like to be able to come back and say that, and then to go into school like later and everything. It felt perfect. Everything was great.
So when you do, so take that trick that you did. Like, is that the only time you've ever performed that trick?
Yeah, I've never done that one since.
So is there a lot of tricks that you do reuse in different audiences, or do you find that you kind of like, you do it once and then you kind of just like, I'll just figure out something different?
Yeah, I'd say that the most of the time I'll find something different, just because you never know who's going to be at your shows. You don't want them seeing the same thing twice. Well, I at least don't want them to. I want it to be that new wow experience every time. I don't want it to be like, oh, I know what's going to happen. It's going to be this. I want them to be amazed every single time and in awe.
So does that add pressure or stress to the idea of like, I have to just always be coming up with tricks?
It makes it fun though, because like at this point since I'm done college now, I just graduated from college. I feel like I'm retired because my other passion is jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
Like hardened jiu-jitsu, and then I do magic. That's it. So magic and jiu-jitsu, that's it. Like I feel retired. I feel like I'm living the life right now. I just performing, coming up with tricks. Like I love it. I don't feel like I work. I can, have my sleep in and do whatever schedule. I love it. It's the best feeling.
So how often do you perform?
So as of right now, like the summer's the most consistent time. The winter's kind of when it slows down, and I think that's because like the holidays and everybody's already spending a lot of money and everybody's inside. But like up until October, I think October is my busiest month because of Halloween and everything. But right now, like the consistency is pretty good. Like I perform at 2 restaurants this week. So every Wednesday and Sunday I perform. So I perform at Westport. Or Wednesday I perform at Docks on the Water.
Yep.
And then Sundays I perform at the Westport restaurant, which is like the gallery bar.
Yep.
And then the weekends I do the ghost tours. So I do that every Friday and Saturday. I'll perform before he does his tours for everybody that's coming up.
Yep.
And then I'll just do events on the side like weddings and birthday parties and literally any event you can think of. I've done it for people around a dining room table one time, like just 4 people eating. I performed like 2 hours straight.
Oh, just a little private event.
Yeah. So anything, I did a pig roast, like anything you can think of.
How far have you traveled at all for?
Yeah. I think the farthest so far, besides America's Got Talent, which was Miami, Florida, would be I did New Jersey and Old Forge. So performed at those 2.
And those were private events. People paid you to come down.
They paid for my hotel and treated me really nice.
Yeah. So what's the process like? Because I do have some other stuff I want to ask you, but I want to go like to your actual process. Like, where do you find inspiration for tricks? How do you start off with, like, let's say you start off blank slate, you wake up, I got to come up with a trick. Like, what's that look like to you?
So a lot of the time, it's just thinking of something crazy that's like, it's hard to explain because it's not only like if you do something big and you have something going to, like, for example, I always use this as an example. If I ever throw a card into a water bottle and it was your card inside the water bottle, it's crazy, right?
Yeah.
But if I were just to do it once and then go into the next trick, that moment's kind of forgotten, and then you do the next thing. So now I got to take this and I got to make it big and I got to make it long and drag it on. So it's not just like a quick like minute trick because then they don't have really time to soak it in and stuff. And then you got to go to the next trick. So I say that's one of the hardest parts as well, is once you figure out something big to do, it's to make a whole routine around it as well. So it's, like part of it. So for a stage show, that's when you would really need to do that. Walk around, not so much, because you can kind of just play around and it's more like free play. But for a stage show, you don't want to just do it and then move on to the next thing and then they forget about what just happened there, So that's where it's the creative process has to really start flowing in.
So you almost write it out like a play or a story.
Just the tricks, but not anything else. Like when it comes to talking and what they're going to say and who I pick, I don't even know who I'm going to pick or if I don't pick somebody. Like, because I want that to be so organic and so real, that it doesn't feel like they're watching TV. I want it to feel like this is the moment. Who knows what's going to happen,
Does that make you nervous? Like if you're in a crowd and you happen to pick, say, me or the person next to me, and say I go up and I'm just like a terrible person.
Right.
Not bad person like bad, but I'm saying like terrible for the act, like clumsy, like not like really into it. Like, do you find, does that add, is that a problem, or are the people that will go up now, I'm assuming, will maybe try to throw you off your game and try to say stuff or do stuff to get you like kind of like in the moment?
Yeah, so I'd say that it's not nervous for the roundabout part, because I'm constantly just trying to, like, at first it was nerve-wracking trying to find that and see, not knowing what's going to happen. But now that I do it so much and I just don't plan stuff, it kind of takes the nerves off, because it's not like I got to be here at a certain time. I got to do this trick at a certain time. If I don't miss this beat, then it's going to screw up everything. It makes it so things can happen. I'm already adapted to not worry about what happens. But like you said, picking people, that's a whole nother process. Like a lot of the times, which I've learned doing big school gigs, because I perform a lot about, like, at the local schools, I'll do the auditoriums for like all the grade levels. And I realize like who to pick and who not to pick. Like if I see a kid that's like, yeah, I'm like, pick me. And that seems like brave. You know what I mean? Sometimes I won't pick them, because they're more likely the one to try something or try to mess something up, because they're not shy and they're not nervous. Yep. But if you pick somebody that's relaxed and calm and they come up and they're not like talking and trying to be the star of the show, it works much better than the person who wants to be the center of attention.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, if you, so again, you have ideas. Do you have like a lair that you just do all your tricks in? Do you have like a room? Do you have like all these? Yeah. So like, because what I'm saying, like you see my office. My office just kind of a bunch of stuff thrown around, and I got cameras and lights and all this stuff. But like, I'm assuming you have kind of a playground somewhere.
I do.
With all your paraphernalia and stuff you do. So like, what's that entail? Do you just like, you said you go to a dollar store and look at stuff. Like, is that still the same in your room that you practice in?
Yeah, I'd say so. With me and my fiance, when we were getting an apartment, I said we absolutely have to get at least a 2-bedroom apartment, because I need a room for all this stuff. And she said, okay, we'll try to find one. And then we ended up finding a 3-bedroom apartment. So she got her office for school, and I got my office for work. And then we had our master bedroom. So mine consists of like 6 tall, huge, black, nice finished bookshelves. And I'll have all my collection of books, like all my magic books just down. And I have a whole section of magic DVDs down. And then I have all my cards just stacked, because I have tons of playing cards, so I'm constantly ripping them and going through them. So I have all these cards, and then I have a whole shelf just of props. And then so everything I can kind of access to. And then I have a desk right in the center. So I'm surrounded on all 4 sides of the room with the bookshelves and all the stuff and the props. So if I'm trying to come up with an idea, I can kind of just like spin in my chair and look around and see what I want to use. And it helps tremendously.
Are there any exercises you do to like come up with tricks? Like, do you give yourself a time limit? Do you give yourself like the creativity, like, let me just grab this, and this. Let me just like see if I can somehow blend those 3 weird things together.
Right. Yeah, I'll do that. And I love, it always starts again a coffee, like a nice coffee, a big iced coffee drinker. So I'll get that, and then I'll kind of put myself in a room where there's not a lot of noise and distraction. And then, like you said, I might grab something or look at something and put those 3 together. And a lot of times I'll just sit there and think. I'll kind of look out the window and just think. And then when I come up with an idea, I'll write it down. So that way I don't forget, like, that's one way it could possibly work. And I'll think, and maybe this is the way it could possibly work. And then if I realize, I might need this object or this object to try to use to build this to make it work, I'll go to the dollar store and buy stuff, or I might already have it. And then that's when the fun starts, building it, trying it, see if it works.
Do you get like writer's block? Or do you find that you just like, you're so loose that you just let like creativity just hit you?
Sometimes if I can't figure out how to do the trick, I'll put it to the side and I'll try a different thing. You know what I mean? I'll come up with a whole different trick, nothing to do with that stuff. And then maybe when I'm working on this trick, this one will open up like, I didn't even think about trying this with this effect. You know what I mean? And I'll come back to it. That's why I always keep things written down so I could not forget about it and come back to it. So.
Did you grow up doing puzzles?
No, I hate puzzles.
Like I look at, like, if you're looking at a crossword puzzle,
right.
or you're looking at one of those logic puzzles, and you're like, God, like you're thinking. And a lot of times they say just like separate yourself from it and then come back and just be fresh. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why didn't I see that before?
Right.
Do you find that like that's similar?
Absolutely. Like even with meditation, it's cool because jiu-jitsu, the 2 parts of my life always seem to come together. Like with jiu-jitsu, that's like a puzzle, or like chess, because you always got to be thinking of the next move on your opponent. So meditating is a huge thing for me when it comes to anything, like if it's competition for jiu-jitsu, or same thing with a big magic show or competition. Because I read a meditation book and it said your mind is like a glass of water with a bunch of things in it, like dirt in it. And if you shake it, it's all like floating around and it's not clear. Mm-hmm. But if you let the water sit and it calms and settles to the bottom, the water becomes clear. And that's the same thing with your mind. So you don't want to be making decisions when that water is all dirty and messed up and you can't see because your brain's clustered. So if you just sit back and you kind of breathe and relax and let that water clear, that's the best time to make those decisions and kind of come back to the situation.
So do you actively meditate?
Yeah, I try to. Yeah. I try to.
I got into it earlier this year too, so I do the same. But it's very calming when you do it. Mm-hmm. Once you learn to just release and just not think and just like chill.
It's true. Yeah.
It's crazy, like you said, how your thoughts can wander and how things just like you think of some crazy stuff and you're not doing anything but just sitting there. Which for most people, at least myself, it's very hard to do nothing.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
Most people can't just sit still.
It's true.
No, that's cool. So if you get a trick, I guess, how long would it take to come up with? I mean, obviously you proved you can do it in a day, less than a day. I mean, do you find that you're pretty quick at putting these things together? Like if I was like, hey, I need a trick in an hour, you're like, I'll figure something out.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And then some of the bigger ones, like when you're doing a whole routine or a whole special maybe for an event, like could that be a multi-day or week process?
Yeah, I think so. Like you said, if it's you need something now and give me an hour, I think I could come up with it. But depending also on the pressure and who I'm performing for, like if I'm performing for other magicians, then it's gonna take forever because then you got to think of stuff because you don't know what they know. There could be a simple thing that they don't know that and like how do they not know that? Or it could be they know so much. And now you got to just think outside the box. And that's when you got to start creating stuff that is not out there in the magic world and that people do not know of because that's the way you fool magicians,
So, yeah, no, that's cool. Okay. No, that's, I think that'd be the hardest thing is to find, the magicians know, like they can pick up on it. So, I mean, if you watch magicians and be like completely stumped on how they do stuff.
Yeah, all the time. And it's cool, and a lot of things that's tricky nowadays, and it's funny, I'll tell you a story about it, is with electronics nowadays and technology, the stuff that can be done and cannot be done is so wishy-washy. Like, I performed last night for a big party that they were having, and every trick I did, they were saying that my deck was mechanical or electronic or voice activated. So as a joke, I made a trick out of it, right? So I had them pick a card. I was like, was this your card, right? And they looked at it like, okay, they put it in the deck. And I handed them another card and I said, look at it. I was like, is this your card? They're like, no. I said, put it face down and yell your card out loud. They're voice activated. Then they said their card out loud and it flipped and it changed to their card. And they're not voice activated. Like I buy these on Amazon. They're normal cards. But now they think that's what they want to keep my cards and stuff because they think, it's hard because that's like a compliment, but not at the same time because you work so hard to be able to make that trick happen. And now they're thinking it's all in the cards that you buy. So it's a double-edged sword at that point,
So, because I think the idea with magic, like there's no, like magic as we would know it, like you said, a wizard, like waving a wand or Harry Potter, like there's obviously an element of how to do it. And there's whatever you want to call it, sleight of hand or, just like different things that you just knowledge, that someone else doesn't know or smoke and mirrors, you hear all this stuff. Like, but at a certain point, magic is I'm assuming a pretty simplistic thing that you have the showmanship and you really sell, because like you said, how to do it. So it's like, how can I do it very smoothly so people can't see it? But then I'm assuming there's a lot of showmanship and embellishment in the sense that you got to put on a show and bring people with, like, so how much do you focus on the performance? How much do you focus on the creativity coming up with ideas? And how much do you focus on the practice? Practice meaning like just your actual physical self.
So I definitely say the most important thing is the performance every single time. What I've learned is you can take a trick that's super basic and can I show you one right now too?
Yeah. You're gonna show us a few, actually, yes, you're going to show us some
example?
Tricks. No, absolutely.
Because don't take this as something like super, super impressive. It's very simple. But I'm just going to show you presentation.
I know. Are we able to go, is this like a good trick and show us a full trick?
It's more of an example demonstration.
Because we're going to do some, we'll go live on a couple of these.
This isn't something like crazy. It's just to show you why performance is so important. So look, you can take one out. And I'll show you too. They're all different, right?
Yep.
You can take any one.
Full deck.
Doesn't even matter. Yeah. I don't care.
Okay.
You like that card, or do you want to change it?
I love that card.
Place it right down. We don't even need to see it. So look, if I were to go through the cards, right? Let's see. Is this the one?
Yep.
Okay, so that's cool, right? But now I'm going to do it a different way with more presentation to make it more impressive.
Okay.
Okay, so take another one out. Doesn't matter which one. Is that a good one too?
Yep.
You like it?
Great.
Go ahead, put it back. So this time, I'll do it like this. Spread through the cards like this. Okay, let's see. All right, just point like this. And
Okay.
yeah, let me see your arm. I'm going to try to use your pulse to find it. Let's see. Try to stay calm too with it. Is this one?
Yep.
Is that the card?
Yes.
Right? So same thing, but
Yep.
it was more intimate because I used your wrist and I used your pulse and I added different elements to it, and it made the trick more impressive than just taking your card out.
So, but if you were to break that down, like the hand and arm, that's all like you already know where it is and
Yeah.
how to find it.
Yeah.
But like that's adding the level of like, wait, because you're drawing them into something that's
Exactly.
kind of it like I said, it's a sideshow to what the real what is really happening.
Exactly. And you're making them feel important and making the trick. You're kind of investing into the trick. You're not being lazy with it.
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing people don't want to see. They want to see that you're interested in it and there's something going on important here. Not that I can take a card out, put it in the deck and find it, you know. But when you add all these elements to it to make it interesting, it's like baking a cake, you know what I mean? If you're not adding like the certain stuff like eggs and stuff in your cake and all this certain ingredients, it's not going to taste good. So you want to put it all together and make it nice.
So what's the first trick you remember doing?
Probably the one my dad showed me. With the,
Which was a card trick.
Yeah,
Can you
yeah.
still do that card trick?
oh, like the very first trick?
Yeah.
Probably.
Was that you said it was with the sponge balls?
Yeah, probably sponge balls, or when you could kind of like make a pencil, like with a pen. I see your pen.
Yeah.
It's really simple. This is one I learned when I was 5. So you take it like this, or we can do it either one like this. And you hold it with your wrist, and sometimes when you rub it too to get the friction with it. You see, then make it move. That one, super basic.
And I'm assuming that's. I mean, can I say how?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
assuming
fine.
there's a finger.
Yeah, you just hold it like this and
Yeah.
move it. So that was probably the first trick, and that's when I got that magic book. That was part with the sponge balls. That trick was in it. With
And
the
that was
pencil.
the showmanship. Let me get some friction on
Yeah.
it, and that had nothing to do with the trick.
Well,
It was
that rubbing wasn't even in the book.
so you just added that
Yeah.
as like to draw someone away.
Yeah.
Like this will actually help
Because
better.
people will think they'll try to rub it and they'll try to do little kids, I do that trick and I'll teach it to them after, but they'll be like rubbing it and trying to get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what confuses them, is thinking that's what's doing it.
So do you have a love affair now with cards?
Love it so much.
Because
It's
it's
my favorite.
I would say from a simplistic standpoint, I love the idea of cards because to me, cards are when we talk about like the creativity, there's a lot of creativity, but there's limitations because there's
Right.
only 52 cards and there's only
Exactly.
4 suits of 13. Like you know what you're getting, and it's like how can you do stuff to make that seem cool? Where the
Exactly.
pineapple and the root beer, awesome trick.
Right.
But you're bringing in so many different things. Like I think this is almost more limitation because like okay, I only have 52. I don't have 100. I don't have.
Right.
I mean, I know there's ways that you can make more cards or more suits of cards and things, but what is your favorite trick that you do, or favorite element of a trick that you do?
Probably a trick where I make people's arms raise without touching them.
Okay. Which Jen was telling me about
Yeah.
the other day, and the girl's like, "No, he was touching me every time." She's like, "No,
Yeah.
he wasn't even close."
Yeah, it's a trick that I learned, from a really, really cool magician, and not one that I knew. I just saw it in a book and then read it and bought it and stuff. But it's a trick that's like teaches you how to. It's cool because it involves nothing. You know what I mean? There's no people say it's my watch, or people say like I got some kind of electronic thing shocking them and stuff like that. But it comes down to nothing. And I think the reason why it's my favorite is because of that element. Like the reason I like card tricks so much is because it's just cards. You know what I mean? Like I literally will get these from a dollar store and I'll use them. When I went and I performed in New Jersey, the show was mainly with cards and I forgot my cards. Like I didn't even bring them. I forgot them. So I had to stop at a 7-Eleven and I went in and I bought, they're like $7 too because they upped the price so much. And I bought cards and I used it for the show. And it makes it so much better because I don't have to worry.
Did you tell them that you bought it at 7-Eleven?
Yeah, they didn't believe me, but it was so expensive. I had to buy 2 of them. It's just unbelievable. But I bought them and it worked. And it helped so much because I also did a gig in Old Forge. And the first trick I did, they're like, that's a trick deck. And these are poker players too. So I used the deck of their cards. I did the entire show with their cards. And it made it so much more impressive and that more real because it's their cards.
Do you find that Like these are what, Bicycle?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that the brand that you prefer, or is it? I mean, those are very popular, but does it really matter? Because I know some have different textures to them.
Well, there's a couple of reasons. The first reason for Bicycle is because it's the most, like you said, it's the most common deck people see. Because I'm always trying to get away from that trick deck thing where everybody's saying it's a trick deck of cards or it's a magic deck of cards. So I try to use the most ones that are familiar to people around their house. So I'll use Bicycle, and then I also do like the quality. They're pretty good, and they're only like $3. But the ones that are like $1 at the dollar store, I can't stand those because they're so plasticky and they're so coated that they'll block together. It's like when you spread through them, they'll clump like this rather than being like a smooth fan like that.
Oh, that's cool.
They don't stay together. You know what I mean? Or like when you spring them like this, they won't spring as smoothly. They'll kind of just like clump like little big packets at a time. So you can do stuff with them, but they're only good for like ripping and stuff like that.
Well, I'm sure too, like you've trained your hands to move a certain way that even just a slightly different weight, I can't feel it. You can certainly feel it.
Yeah.
Like you're doing like that just doesn't move as well.
Right.
Because you're just so trained in it.
Yeah.
And types of magic tricks, like, so right now you think cards would still, well, you said the one without touching someone, but like, I guess from an implementation, would it be cards, or is there some other weird things you like, or do you just like random stuff?
Probably cards, just because it's weird. I feel like a superhero when I have playing cards in my hand. Like literally any environment, I feel like any dangerous environment or anything, if I have cards, I feel like I'm protected because I know how to entertain people.
Yeah.
You know, or if I'm in a room waiting or literally any situation, if I have a deck of cards, it's perfect. You know, standing in line at the Great Escape. Hate standing in line. I start performing for people.
So you'll do that?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm assuming you have cards in your pocket like most people have a phone.
All the time. Yeah, all the time. My fiance, she has so many cards in her purse and in her cars and stuff that like there's always a deck somewhere.
That's so funny. So now who's your favorite magician?
David Blaine.
By far?
Yeah, by far.
So why? Why is he your favorite?
Mainly because his presentation it's perfect. Like I said before, that trick, the presentation compared to a different trick, he'll take a trick that's super basic and he'll just elevate it so much just because of his presentation and his seriousness. And it's like, I've never seen another magician do it the way David Blaine does it, you know?
His presentation is also almost like he's got a weird demeanor about him, because he'll do the trick, but he'll do the trick to the point where he almost like doesn't think it's a big deal, or almost do the trick like he doesn't even feel like he's doing a trick.
Right.
So I was telling, Jen out there, but I was telling her before you came on, I'm like, man, I love like magic and I've watched a bunch of people, but I said, I love David Blaine, and not even like his endurance feats. I'm like, I just love his old school street magic.
Yeah.
And he just walks around the street and he's like biting coins and he's throwing a card behind a window.
Exactly.
And to me, like the fact that you get people like around and everybody's like and it's close up and he's doing all this stuff on the street and people are like, what? And people are freaking out.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's kind of creepy, but he's I listened to him on Rogan and I've seen stuff with him, and he's absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm. But then you realize this guy just knows that level, like just knows this like topic so deeply and intimately that he can just do stuff that I don't think even magicians could do.
Yeah, he does too. Like his best trick that I still am trying to learn is his water regurgitation trick.
With the frogs?
Yeah, but just not the frogs, just the water. But there's nothing teaching you how to do that. And that's a real thing. That's not, from a magician saying that's a real thing. That's not a trick, You
have to like train your body to do it.
Yeah, like the muscles has to be able to do it, and he uses cold water so he can sense where it is. He'll fast, so he won't eat for like a whole day just so, he doesn't bring up food and stuff, and he can know like the placement of the water. But it's also dangerous because what happens is when you're trying to bring the water up, it makes your heart muscles pump more, but not the blood. The blood still stays consistent, but it's making your heart push harder. And then also the acid that's coming up from your stomach isn't good for your teeth and stuff like that. So there's bad things that happen if you don't do it correctly. And that's the one tough part about not really having anybody teach you how to do it.
So did he pioneer that idea?
No. So there is, I believe, I don't know where he traveled, if it was Africa or where he went, but there was a water spouter who would go, because, they don't have tons of water. So he'd go down and he would drink tons of water and he'd hold it in his stomach, and then he would come back and he would use it for stuff like cleaning his clothes. So he would just spit it out and he would wash his clothes with it, and then he'd move it, and then he'd grab the next thing and he'd spit it out because he held so much in his stomach. And that was like one of the only people around that could do it then. So David Blaine went and learned from him, and now he's doing it. But there was an original magician for a trick. What he would do would swallow a bunch of water and then swallow a bunch of kerosene. And then he would spit the kerosene out to catch something on fire and then use the water next to put the fire out.
Wow.
But he died from doing it because it's so dangerous. And David Blaine did it, but he only did it once, and he even knew, not to mess around with that because it's kerosene, So he did it once to show that he could do it, and then now he just does the water and the frogs and stuff like that. But yeah, it goes back a long time.
Oh, you see, like the other ones are he's stabbing like a pick, like a ice pick through his like hand
and bicep,
and I mean, is that something that you know how to do or could do?
Yeah, anybody could do it, but it's just like it's a certain point through here that's just kind of like flesh that goes through, but you could hit a nerve.
He pulls it out and it doesn't bleed.
Yeah. Well, sometimes there's blood on the edge, but there's certain points. But there's like you can see he'll hit a nerve sometimes, and it really hurt his arm. But yeah, it can go through.
That's wild because I think he had Joe do it.
Yep.
And Joe's like, I don't like, and he's like having it go through his arm, and it's like, cause that's the thing. You see some of this stuff. I'm like, that guy's got got a pick through his arm. Like that. Like I don't know how you can make that fake, or when people like move their hands around and like show that something's like levitating and.
Or like, the nail up the nose too. You seen that one?
I think so.
Yep.
But do you know like levitation? Have you learned that or dabbled in that?
A little bit, like the basic stuff, but it's I've seen like the only time you'll ever see levitation stuff is like camera tricks, or people are in on it. Like the guy, you ever seen the guy with the blue mask that walks across the pool of water?
No.
Well, he basically walks all across the pool, and like people are like looking around and swimming under it, and it's basically just like a clear platform that's put it through, and they walk across. So I've never really seen any levitation trick out there that's can be done in person where people can see it. That's not either on a stage way far away and you can't see what's going on behind the scenes. But I haven't seen anything yet that's this close.
So have you ever thought about doing like what David Blaine did with street magic? Just have someone walk around with the camera and just. I
would like to. I think it would be cool to do it somewhere like even like Placid on the streets, like during something like the Iron Man or something like that.
That'd be crazy. Of people.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be a good atmosphere to do it.
Well, I think it's good. Like my guess is David Blaine got really good by doing it. Yeah. It just forced him to practice.
Yeah, exactly.
And obviously it was like almost, back in the day when people were selling off or trading mixtapes of music before like we had like streaming music services. Like that's how a lot of bands like I grew up listening to got big.
Right.
Like that's how David Blaine like watch my video and like just you kind of like bootlegging or bootstrapping like a way to, get your name out there. Do you spend a lot of time on like the social media aspect, like to get your name out there and to get like?
Yeah, I'm trying with the Instagram right now. It's been off and on, but now I'm really trying to focus because you can see a lot of avenues open up with the bigger following you have on something like Instagram, or TikTok or something like that. So I'm trying to start now really putting work in for my Instagram and just basically posting of places that I've been and to show people. And then eventually when the winter time hits, that's when I'm really going to start going hardcore with it too, because that's kind of when things slow down, and I'm going to try to put more videos out there.
What about like YouTube or TikTok?
I haven't gone into YouTube yet, but TikTok, I have been posting videos, I haven't been doing it regularly, but like I said, when the winter comes, that's really when I'm going to gun ho on it.
I was going to say, I think TikTok or like Instagram Reels and obviously YouTube, but I think the crazy thing about magicians is, I mean, there's a lot of magicians, but like if you catch people like scrolling their phone and all of a sudden they have this magician that comes up and he's good.
Yeah.
Like you'll gain followers, and it kind of goes back to like the idea like all you need is like some executive or some magician to find you, like this kid's great and bring you along. Yeah. It's like how was Justin Bieber found? He found on YouTube just singing, and they brought him in because he was just kind of discovered by the right people.
Right.
But I think the street magic thing, even just locally, like walking around town and just like vlogging and like watching what you do, I think people would love it. And not like you just have some random stuff or like that, grab the pen and do it, or throw the card through a bottle because you don't need the routine around it. It's like you can just do the quick thing and off to the next person.
Exactly.
Like, wait, how did you do that?
Exactly. Yeah. I feel like that's the best kind of magic. Like have you been to a magic show in person, like a big one, like on stage?
No, not like a Vegas show or anything like that. No.
So it's difficult because I've been to a few and it's entertaining. Like when they have it down and I appreciate watching like the music and like all the stuff like that and the dancing and how they time stuff. But it's so hard because to a point, if you kind of step back and you look and you see the props and you wonder how much of that is making the tricks actually happen.
Yeah.
Compared to, that's why I appreciate like the music and the timing as a magician. But like when you look at the props, you're like, does that look like it was from like you just bought in a magic shop? You know what I mean? Compared to like close-up magic, where it's literally they can like inspect it and look at it, you know what I mean, and feel it, and it's real, and I see it every day. I feel like that's like such strong magic, you know. That's why I love it so much, is doing that close-up stuff like on the street and everything like that, you know.
Yeah, I would like, or someone had a bottle of water, and
Yeah.
like, let me see your bottle of water, and they're like, well, I've been drinking this the last like 10 minutes, and then you do something to it, and like, what the heck? And that's why, like I said, I think why David Blaine popped. Like I remember Chris Angel had his was it Mind Freak?
Mind Freak, yeah.
I remember watching those, and those were cool. But he typically, I think, did bigger scale stuff, or the big production, like making the truck disappear and all this crazy stuff. Like like those are okay, but I've always just loved the up close magic. Like that's why I think David Blaine. I think he was more to me more entertaining. I remember as a kid, I think the first magicians I saw was like Penn and Teller. You know, and I've seen like some of the episodes of like Stump Them or whatever, magicians or Fool Us. Yeah. But Penn and Teller have been doing it for years.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're
probably
great.
30, 40 years, maybe more. So actually America's Got Talent, you tried out for that?
Yes, in Miami, Florida.
So was that like when you tried out, was that for like Simon Cowell and all them?
No, so this, I'll explain what happened. So this was my senior year of high school. It was 2019, and I flew down to Miami, Florida in December. I raised a bunch of money to get there because it was like $3,000 I had to raise to fly there and back. And I was 17. I wasn't even 18 at the time, so I had to have my mom come with me, and I also brought Marlena, my fiance. And when we went there, I don't know if have you seen the show before, like when you see everybody singing in the room, and
Yeah.
so it's exactly like that. There's a lot of stuff too that's, you know, staged to make it look like part of the show. Like when you see them all running to the table to fill up the form, that's staged. Like I was a part of that, and that was exhausting. It took hours and hours and hours
Just to get that shot?
Yeah, because they're like, oh, we'll give you gift cards if you come, you know, do this, and then they'll walk you a mile in the heat, and you'll come to this random location, you'll do it, and it takes hours to do because like the people that are supposed to walk first in front for the cameras to catch, everybody keeps crowding them. So they have to keep redoing it. And it took forever. And then finally when they got it, they're like, okay, we need to do it from the side. And I was like, I can't. I got to get out of here. But when I got there, I dressed up. So I'll dress up in like a nice suit when I perform. I try to keep it really classy. And when I got there, I realized Miami, you know, waiting in line was going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Like getting in the doors and not having...
So you passed out in the waiting room?
No, but I wanted to be one of the first ones in line. So lineup started at 5
a.m.
Yeah, and we were an hour away from the convention center in Miami. So I woke up super early to get down there, and we wanted to get there like 20 minutes before you can even start lining up. So we got there super early, and it was pitch black, right? I'll grab water too for a second.
No, you're good.
Sorry. Yeah, so it was pitch black, and there was like 50 people lined up already. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. You know, it's not too hot and stuff. So we get out, and I have to pee like worse than I've ever had to pee, like ever. And I don't know where I was, and there was no bathrooms. Like everything was closed. So I'm walking around, and Marlena, my fiance, holds my spot for me. And me and my mom, she's also asked, we're trying to find a bathroom. And all of a sudden I seen like 500 cats just like like walking around. And what they did was a cat release program because there's so many cats that were like in the shelter and they didn't want to put them down. So the community kind of just let them in the neighborhood and would take care of them. But it was so weird because like I felt like I was in a dream. Like
oh, wow.
I was like,
yeah, no, you're like delirious
it's
because
like
it's in the
5
morning.
in the morning and there's all these cats. I'm in Miami and I don't even know where I am. So I ended up just peeing in the street. But I come down and I get back in line and I'm starting to do magic to warm up because I'm feeling calm and relaxed. Not a lot of people there. And I meet this guy from Jamaica, and he's like an incredible, famous saxophone player there. And his name's Conrad. And I'm doing magic for him, and he's freaking out. And I don't know anything about this. Like, my mom's telling me, she's like, oh, don't do too much. You don't want to, like, give away anything. Like, you don't want anybody to use your tricks or stuff like that. Because, like, we didn't know what I was getting into. So I just did a few tricks, and it really kind of eased me up, and I was ready. So then I go inside, I sign in, and I get into this room. Right, just filled with all these acts, these big AGT signs, and I'm like, holy, like I'm here, you know, this is awesome. I got my number, and I'm sitting here filling out my sheet, right? And they got all these things, they got these questions asking, like, if you got like a traumatic story, and because you know they like those for the opening, they got like where you from and how you got heard of it and stuff. So I'm trying to fill all this, like tons of questions. I'm trying to fill them out, And there's this guy sitting there, and he looks over at me. He's like, psst. I was like, and I look over, and he's like, and he waves to me. And I just wave back, and I'm trying to fill out my sheet. And he's like, have you heard of me before? And I was like, no. And he's like, I'm Mr. Wiggles. I was like, from You Think You Can Dance, right? And I was like, oh, that's cool, right? And he's like, and he starts dancing and being really goofy and singing the Barbie doll song. And I'm trying to like concentrate here because I'm like super nervous. And now this guy is like doing the most like weird thing. I don't even know what's happening right now. And he was on You Think You Can Dance too. I looked it up and he was on there and he did that exact dance and song. But this guy just started asking everybody that. So everybody that came and sat down, he was like, hey, and I'm trying to like focus. Like I'm trying to get in the zone right now. And this guy's just like asking everybody this question. So, and that's what you get, you know, when you go down to America's Got Talent. There's tons of people, you know, doing stuff like that and acts, and there's dancing Christmas trees, and there's contortionists and dancers and other magicians. And it seemed like every single magician would look at you and you'd look at them because they're all kind of like square each other up and everything, and super competitive. So as I'm filling out my sheet, I started to get really nervous because now there's all these acts in here, and I'm seeing these magicians with like these fancy tables that stand up, and they have all their nice like black mats on it and they're using, and like just everything. So I look at my mom, I'm like, how am I supposed to separate myself from all these people? You know, like there's just so many like great acts here. And she's like, you're just gonna have to blow it away with your audition. So to me, that wasn't enough. So I walked into the middle of the room and I screamed as loud as I could, right?
In front of all these people?
Yeah, and I couldn't even believe I did it. Like I just screamed as loud as I could. I said, who wants to see a magic trick? And the room just got silent. Like, and everybody turned around and looked at me and started cheering, right? So they made a huge circle around me. And I did this trick. I did that trick where I make their arms raise without touching them, right? And then everybody started cheering. And then my mom, I look over at my mom and my fiance, and they're just like, their eyes are huge because I didn't tell them. I just walked up and did it. So then I go to sit down, and my heart's like racing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I sit down, and the producers couldn't get over to me quick enough. They run over, and they're like, we loved what you just did. We want to, like, we have separate seating over here. We want to sit you down. There's like 10 seats available that we pick out of all these people to like be individually filmed for like opening parts of the show. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. My mom's calling my dad. She can't believe it. So we go and we sit down, and they end up hooking me up with all these mics, and I do magic with this guy from Mexico, and we do these tricks back and forth for each other.
This is just like promo stuff.
Yeah, and this is like all because I did this one stunt. You know what I mean? So I got to sit there the rest of the day, that regular seating, like a VIP seating, it felt like. And I met all these other crazy people that they were picking from the audience, like to sit there. And I did magic with this guy from Mexico, and I met the producers for like shows like Ellen and The Real, and they were super cool. And then that was before my audition even took place. So now it comes to my audition time, and I hear my number get called. And I'm like, oh, geez. And my mom comes in with me because I'm not 18. So I felt a little better about that because I was like, okay, at least she'll be there with me. And what they do is they put 10 of you in a quiet room, right? And you sit against a wall, and you have to best, like you basically have to best the other person in the room. Like you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And there'll be 2 judges there, and they can't show any emotion because they can't be biased. And for a magician, you feed off people's emotion. So it's incredibly difficult, and you get 90 seconds. So one of the hardest parts with me was coming up with the tricks to do in these 90 seconds, which I didn't even figure out until the night before when I was in the hotel room. That tells you how at the last minute I was switching things up.
Okay.
So I went in with my mom, and it was my turn, and I went up, and the first trick I did was I had my fiance wrap like 30 decks of cards in Christmas wrap, like Christmas, like because it was around Christmas time.
Yep.
And I put them in a big Christmas box. And the first judge, I had him pick a card, took it out, signed it, put it back in the deck, and then I had them put it in their hands, and then I made all the cards disappear except for their card that was signed. And then, and no emotion, they just sit there and it's like so hard because you don't know what's going on. And then the second judge, I had them name any card, and they named a card. I lifted off the box. They said Queen of Hearts. I said, grab any box you want. They grabbed it. They unwrapped it, and the top card was the Queen of Hearts. So those are the 2 tricks that I did in the 90 seconds. And I went and sat down, and my mom was like, she's like, good job. And because I had to get up there by myself, and all the acts I just see sitting there, and I was just like this watching me, 90 seconds. And I was like number 9. So there was only one. So I watched all these other acts before me go, and I was just like super nervous. And then I went up and did that. And then I went back, and I stayed in the AGT room even after my audition for like 3 hours. And I just walked around meeting people performing. I performed for everybody in there because you never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
Right. So I went there was like a news station there I went in front of and did magic for. I met a bunch of cool people I still contact today. And then I called my friends and family. I had like people all from my school who I haven't even talked to, like messaging me saying good luck. Like the support I had felt unbelievable. That's why I knew I had to give it all I had. And I feel like that's what gave me the confidence to step in the middle of the room like that, because I wasn't letting all those people down at home. So then I flew back, and I wasn't supposed to find out until March if I made it to the next round. And then March is when COVID hit. And we get an email saying it's all completely canceled. Like all live auditions were canceled for like across the board. And then you had to send in video auditions, like not even FaceTiming.
Yeah.
You record yourself and set it in. No guidelines saying how to make a good video or what you should do. And as a magician, you know, you like work in real time. You know, if you record something, if I were to do Magic Grade U and send it in, and it was something crazy like you named a card and I had it in my pocket or something like that, they're going to think you're in on it. You know, there's always that possibility like, oh, he could have been in on it, you know, because you can create any scene you want when it's a video.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I didn't even bother sending it in. And I was like, you know what? I did it. I went down there, and then the next year too was all like through Zoom. They did America's Got Talent that year too, which was weird. And now I think it's finally back to normal, but yeah.
Would you do it again?
Yeah, I think I would, you know, especially the experience I've gained since then. Like I haven't even performed as close as many times as I had when I was a senior in high school. Like now, you know, this is my living. This is how I pay for bills and stuff. So I would definitely do it again.
That's wild. So America's Got Talent, like that's the first initial wave. And then from there, like when do you get to the point where you're in front of the judges on national TV?
Would have been the next one. Yep. When that March call, if that would have been it, I would have been on.
Oh, so what you did in Miami could have gotten you on the show.
Yep. Gotcha. That call I was waiting for would have been it.
Do you think based on the 10 people that were in your room, how would you have judged yourself? Was it all magicians?
No, I was the only magician.
Okay.
Yeah, there was.
I'm assuming singers and
few singers, few dancers. There was a Spanish opera singer. He was like 92 years old too. It was impressive. Then Conrad was also in the room, ironic, with me. And
that was a saxophone player.
Yeah, and he played "You Raise Me Up" on the saxophone, which was amazing. And I thought for sure he was gonna make it too, but you know, with COVID, it got canceled. But yeah, I feel like I did as good as I could in that moment. You know.
So you thought you were stacked up well against the other 9?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's really cool. So then I'm going to ask you about this because we have it down here. Tannen's Magic Camp.
Yes.
What's that?
So that's a magic shop in Vegas, or not Vegas, in New York City, I think it is. Yeah, it's in New York City. It's a big magic shop, one of the biggest ones, like still around today. There's not very many left, and they've been around for a long time. And they also have camps that they do. Mm-hmm. So they'll do this huge camp where you go down for a week and you kind of like, there's all these workshops. So there'll be stuff just on stage magic or stuff on close-up magic or how to build tricks, like social media, everything you could think of that would have to do with magic as an avenue. They kind of have a teacher for, and they're famous magicians there teaching it. You know, like there'll be Michael Carbonaro, or there'll be sometimes David Blaine, or there'll be Shin Lim or something like that. And they'll be teaching these courses, and it's like over $1,000, and you go down for a week and you meet them and you stay there for a week, and they have that like every summer. They do it, yeah.
So was that a big deal to go down to that? Was it your first time?
So I did it online because COVID also was during that time, and I think this was like the only year I could do it too. Like I didn't find out about it even until like the year I did it. Like I saw it advertised through something, and you can only do it until I think you're 18.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll do it, and it ended up being all online. And I was like, I'll do it, you know, and it ended up being free too because of COVID. So I got to do it, and it was Zoomed for like a whole week, and it would be 4 hours a day. And you'd be doing with all these magicians, so you'd enter which workshop you'd want to do. So you've seen the Carbonaro effect with Michael Carbonaro on
I don't know,
True TV.
maybe. Yeah, what is it?
So it's basically where he does magic it's on True TV. He does magic for people like in different settings, like in stores and stuff, but he's not saying he's a magician. He'll be like a worker. And he'll do something weird, and he'll be like, yeah, you can buy this like goldfish sticker, and then he'll throw it in a bowl of water, and he'll swim around as a real goldfish and tell people that's a product they can buy, not saying he's a magician. They'll be like, what? And they'll be like, I got to buy all these, and it's just a bunch of different stuff like that, messing with people, but not saying he's a magician.
Oh.
So I definitely took his class, and then I ended up even, like I have his number. Like I even reached out to him after and wrote a paper on him, and we Zoomed called and
really
just talked. Yeah, and we talked about his show and stuff like that. It was awesome.
How... Have you seen, is it Shin Lim?
Yeah.
Have you seen him perform?
Not in person, but I saw like when he was doing America's Got Talent, and I've talked to people that have, like, one of the guys named Perry. He's a magician that lives in Vegas right now, and he owns 2 magic shops there. But he used to live down here as a kid, and I just met with him a couple days ago. And he's, like, best friends with Shin Lim, and he was telling me about when he was helping Shin Lim, like, create his acts for America's Got Talent and helping him, like, further his career and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I found he was incredible.
Yeah, he is good.
Like, now, when you watch it, are you able to figure out what he's doing?
Yeah.
You have an idea?
Yeah, a lot of it's... I don't want to spoil it, but...
No, that's fine. No, don't give it away. But I'm saying, like, you could pick some of the stuff out.
Yeah.
Because I know some of it I was watching, like, when he was pulling cards that, like, he was actually pulling cards with, like, black felt behind it. And then and again, I don't know how real this is, but of course, it might be, like, conspiracy theories on magic, from people. But when you watch him on AGT, like, the stuff he was doing, and of course, he had, like, the smoke and he had the things that kind of added to it.
Good showmanship, yeah.
Oh, incredible. And I mean, he moved very fluid, but I think a lot of it was in the presentation, as you had said. Like, I'm sure some of those tricks are, like, easy. I know how to do that, but just the way he was able to kind of flow into the, like,
put it together.
It was almost like a dance.
Yeah.
It was incredible what he did. But what other magicians do you said David Blaine, you said the guy with the goldfish in the water on the TV show.
Yeah, Michael Carbonaro. Yeah, and then David Copperfield too. I like watching older videos. Like, I have some of his older discs.
Is he still doing magic right now?
Yeah.
He is? Okay.
He actually got he's had a few lawsuits recently though.
Okay. Because I know he's very famous. Like, David,
He did. I met actually somebody that worked for him, and he's also part of one of the lawsuits against him. But
okay.
One of the lawsuits he has is he did this trick where he made people. It was on the news. I remember watching it. He made people go into this box, and they lifted it up, and they disappeared. Like, the box dropped, and it was just empty, and they were gone. But what happened was his crew was trying to get them, like, part of the trick to push him off. He had to reveal how it was done because he was in court for it. And he had to push him out the other side. And he's like, go, go, go. And he's, like, pushing the people of the audience, like, out of the side of it, like, to hurry so they could raise the box up and make them disappear. And a lot of people got hurt. Like,
gotcha.
Like, fell and hit their head and stuff like that. So they ended up suing him because,
So when you kind of look at magic, I mean, where do you figure out ideas, or where do you connect? I mean, are there groups? Are you part of, like, just network that eventually you just kind of meet up with people that do magic?
Kind of
solo. Or are you kind of like a lone wolf?
I'd say lone wolf. Like, I'm in a group chat with some magicians that were from that Tanen's magic camp that they all live far away though. Like, time zones are different and everything. And I don't ever participate in it or anything like that because I just find, I don't know, just kind of keep to myself with it, stick to my own path with it.
Do you find, do you try to make, like, are you kind of one of, like, a mysterious kind of magician? Like, you try to have an element of, like, kind of, like, Shim Lin, I think, like, you always felt he was kind of like a creepy guy. Like, when you do the tricks, but you're like, this guy seems kind of like, he had, like, the flip in the hair, and he would always be these, like, looks, which is part of his act.
Right.
I'm sure he's a really nice guy. But you always, like, there always seemed like there was, like a very mysterious part where he kind of, like, kind of could separate himself from, like, normal people.
Right.
Do you find that, like, that's part of it, or is there different kind of, like, I say themes, but different kind of vibes you can give as a magician?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Like, with Chris Andrews, got that, like, that dark, creepy type one, and then I'm more of just, I mess with people a lot. Like, just will mess with them and think it's funny to entertain myself.
So you're more of like a jokester kind of.
Yeah, but, I'll get serious with it and stuff, but sometimes... Because in high school, I loved messing with people. Even in college. Like, you can ask some of my friends I just graduated with. I'd sit there, and I'd look over at them, and I'd be like, do you hear that? Right? And they'll be like, what? And then I'll cough up an egg. Right? In the middle of class, I do this. And I can't thank my teacher, Rebecca Fox, enough, my professor, my criminal justice professor, for dealing with it. And because thank goodness she loved magic, because I was doing it all the time.
This was in college?
Yeah. I'd sit right in the college professor's class, and I'd look over, and and he knew, like, my friend Henry, I'd look at him, and he tried not to look at me because he knew I was going to do something. And I'd cough up, like, multiple eggs, pull them out of my shoe, right? Just crazy stuff. And I'd be like,
actual eggs?
Yeah. And I'd be like, how did that get there? And I just act so confused, right? Because I love messing with people. I just entertain myself, and I bring that into my magic all the time. Like, just everything like that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll pull a cheeseburger out of my sweatshirt that's, like, super hot or something like that. I just do the most random stuff, and a lot of it was in class. I'd spend more time figuring out what I could do in class to mess with people than I would study.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all good.
It was just all the time. And I don't know. And thank goodness my college hired me to perform there too. So I'd leave early and perform for their events. So I think that's also why they were kind of cool with it. But she'd act like she wouldn't see it and stuff. But I would like put cards on people, and now when I do magic for like people in real life, like I was doing a state trooper party for these awesome group of guys, and I would take sticky notes and I would stick it to their back, right? And they're like, "Oh, what is that? It's part of the trick." It has nothing to do with the trick. I just think it's funny that this guy's back's covered with sticky notes, right? So then they gotta kind of like see what's magic and what's not. And then I got to the point where I just tap his back, and he thought I'd put a sticky note on him. So every time I see him, I put my hand in my pocket and I'd smack his back, and he'd be like, look around, there would be nothing there. So there's such like a entertaining part just for me to mess with people. You know what I mean? And I incorporate that into my magic so much now. Like when I go and do restaurant magic, I'll just mess with people so much. Like I'll grab their phone and I'll do a trick with their phone. I'll show you later. But sometimes I'll just grab it like this and I'll act really mysterious, and I'll just be like, and I'll just look them in the eyes and I'll be like, it's done. Right? And they'll just start dying laughing because I didn't do anything but just tap their phone. So they don't know what's going to happen next, 'cause I'm just messing with them.
You kind of have that status or that clout that like, wait, this guy, he must have done something.
Yeah, exactly. And then they'll check and they think their phone's hacked or something, or all the time. So I truly love what I do. And I think that's one of the reasons is because I spend so much time trying to entertain myself, you know? And people always be like, do this trick again, do this trick again. Sometimes I won't because I want to. Sometimes it'll be boring to me because I've seen it before. So I'll try to do something else.
So I was going to say, if you're having fun, people feed off that.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I think that's great. I think the element of, I just think that having fun and seeing, especially magicians, when you know they're having a good time with it. Like there's one guy I remember watching, I don't know his name, and he was more of like a mentalist kind of guy.
Right.
And he was doing magic and he was doing like thinking of stuff and coming up, but he was very fun and jokester and was kind of just cracking jokes, almost like a stand-up in between his routine, and was just hitting them with these magic. But he was fun. He was entertaining, where you wanted to tune in. Where you get some magicians, like you said, they don't have good showmanship. They're like, cool trick, but they're boring.
Exactly.
And I think that magic to me is something that's really cool, but if you see it a bunch, sometimes it could get kind of stale, and you're like, okay. But if you keep adding elements, like almost like stand-up, like you can listen to so many jokes, but like there's certain people that just have just a better presence about them that really draw you in. In a day, how much do you feel that you perform, or I say perform, do you practice magic or learn magic, or even just watch videos, or like you're consumed with magic?
I'd say pretty constantly. Like even if I'm doing something where, let's say if I'm watching TV, I'll have cards in my hand and I'm just practicing. You know what I mean? Not necessarily have to look, but if there's something I'm working on, I'll just practice that same thing over and over again.
Practice a cut.
Yep. And I'll just do that over and over again, you know, and I feel like I might not even be practicing anything, you know what I mean? Like I might just be holding them like this and moving them around just to constantly always have that, you know, feel of where the cards are. So that's another thing that I'll do too.
And I'm guessing that's just gotten better over time.
Yeah.
It's like someone that plays piano or plays guitar, like you're not even, their hands are just moving.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like such muscle memory. And even in high school, I'd have my teachers print my notes for me so I didn't have to write them, so I could practice while I'm listening. So when I'd be listening, I'd be doing stuff with the cards. That way I wouldn't have to write like the rest of the students would. I'd be using the cards and I'd just get them all printed to me because they already have them there. So they just on the side, I'd ask them to print it and then I'd practice that.
So in class, you're moving cards?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
So
so
teachers are like cool with that?
Yeah, because I'm not distracting anybody. I just hold it and I'd watch, you know. So
okay.
Yeah.
So you've trained with Royce Gracie?
Yeah.
I don't know. I got like random factoids about you, which is tell me about jiu-jitsu.
So
like when did you start this? And we'll get back to the cards. So we're gonna do a couple
absolutely.
tricks here, but yeah, talk about jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu has become an unbelievable passion of mine. Like right up there with magic. Absolutely. Like I love them both the same.
Really?
Yeah, I love it. And I do it 4 times a week with Rob Hughes, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. It's in Beekmantown on Spellman Road. And I did karate for 3 years in high school.
Yep.
And I was like, I thought I could defend myself, right? And when I went to jiu-jitsu, everything out the door. Like unbelievable. It kicked my butt. I felt like I didn't know anything because the stuff they know, like the warm-up alone, almost makes you want to pass out. And he's a retired state trooper, and he's 3rd degree or 4th degree now black belt in jiu-jitsu.
Okay.
And just this guy, I can't even describe enough to you how talented and strong and amazing he is. Like it's just unbelievable the stuff he knows. Like I was rolling with him one time, and I thought I was actually doing good, and I felt him like crawling, and he was checking the time on his watch while he was trying to tap me out. That's how good he is. Like he's just on, and jiu-jitsu just it checks your ego at the door. You know what I mean? And everybody in there is like such a family and stuff. And I highly recommend it to anybody. And it takes 10 years to get a black belt in jiu-jitsu.
How long's Rob been doing it? Probably longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, like stupid amount of time.
I've heard really cool things or like good things about him.
Yeah.
And I know a couple people that go there. I've never done it. I've always thought like I don't have time to do it right now, just with family and stuff. But I've seen obviously like you hear like guys like Rogan or Jocko and all these guys really talk about jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It seems really cool. I have no background in it besides I think it would be a great workout, and obviously you're learning body awareness, mechanics, and so what's your favorite thing about jiu-jitsu?
Probably just what it does to my mindset, you know what I mean, and to my body. Like just going there and knowing like I got jiu-jitsu after this too. I do it 4 times a week, and just knowing what you're in for, you know, in the workout, that you're gonna sweat. Like I just got my blue belt, and it takes 2 years to get a blue belt, around 2 years. And I almost passed out last class because so much energy I used up. Like, because you got to control it. And my partner is my father. Okay. So we started together, and we're doing it together. We want to get our black belts together. And like, we'll roll together. And he's a mason. He does masonry. So he's working out.
Oh, yeah.
All day, every day.
He's got dad strength.
Grip strength and everything. And, you know, father and son. And he just wants to make sure.
Yeah, got that old man strength.
Yeah. So, like, and I don't want that. I don't want him to get the best of me. You know what I mean? So we go, like, so hardcore. And I literally... It was the end of the class, and we go to slap hands, and I almost passed right out because I used like all my energy, and I literally started to get like that feeling where everything's turning black. Yeah. And then my hearing started to get very low, like I couldn't hear what people were saying, and I almost passed out.
So how long are like rounds of it? Is it 3 minutes, 5 minutes?
Right now we're tournament training because we got a tournament coming up in the end of August, so 5-minute rounds for these. So he'll start with just a warm up, and the warm ups are crazy. Like you'll like walk on your hands down the mat. You'll do these shrimp calling. You do forward rolls. You do backward rolls. You do all this crazy stuff to get you just worked into it. And then he'll do like takedown rounds, and he'll get into moves, and then we'll roll, and then we'll do more, teach us moves, and we'll roll again. And it's just a straight hour of go, 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 you know?
So it's about an hour.
Yeah. And it's not like you take breaks. Like
no, I was going to say, you're rolling the whole time.
Like he'll teach you, like he'll go and teach a move. And that's when everybody's like laying down and like huffing and puffing, and he'll teach you a move. He's like, all right, 5 and 5. And then you'll get with your partner to do it, and then he'll teach you another move. So it's not like you just keep going.
And do you wear the full gi and everything?
Yep. Yeah. He does no gi too, but yeah, I do like the gi.
Most people wear gis. Yeah. I'm assuming. Yeah. That's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not something I know a whole ton about, but I'm fascinated by it. And I love UFC, and like
you obviously should try it. Love it.
I think it's like bucket list for me. It's just, it's also one of those just with kids and stuff. It's like, I just don't have much time to go out and do that stuff. But I think in the future, I think it's something I would get into and just like try it. And everybody I know that does it absolutely loves it. Yeah. You know, it's like, they're like, you got to keep doing it.
And it's such a great thing. Like, I feel like a lot of people see it and too are intimidated by it. Cause like what I'm talking about, I'd say like it's hard, but the way you feel after every class, you feel amazing that you just worked out and you did something that's going to further yourself. You know, each day goes by 24 hours. Everybody has 24 hours. So that day is going to go by no matter what. So if you're going and you're helping yourself to learn something like a life skill, you know what I mean, how to defend yourself and protect yourself. Yeah. It's awesome. And Rob does a great job teaching. And Rob learned from Julio across the lake, and you know, Julio is awesome too. Julio trained with all the Gracies and like Hicks and Gracie and Horace Gracie and stuff. And so the lineage is awesome.
How, so where'd you train with Royce? Where was that?
That was in Vermont. A new Gracie school that opened up. Yeah, it was a big seminar, and Hoist was there.
Oh, I probably pronounced it wrong. Royce. Yeah, Royce. I mean, I remember hearing the names, but I don't know them all. But I know like the Gracie family is like iconic. Yeah, like pioneers of it. I was crazy. Actually, we were looking it up. Like, he won UFC 1, 2, and 4, which obviously back then was like no holds barred, like just anything goes kind of thing. Yep. And obviously at this point it's gotten to, it's like anything else. You, over time you start to like, it's kind of like UFC is pretty new. Like I like watching golf. Like when they just had like I don't know if you follow golf at all, but they just had like the British Open. Well, the British Open's going on for 150 years. So when you look at the scores of the original British Open, it was like 12 guys that played. Wow. But you look at it, like it probably wasn't super competitive back then, to an extent. But now you're getting to the point where there's like science. Like guys are looking at spin numbers on balls because they're that dialed in. And what's happened is you're really starting to fine tune the kind of player that can compete So like I think UFC, that's why when you watch UFC, most of the guys that can compete are so like, you might say this guy's got better grappling or better jiu-jitsu, but overall, or kickboxing, but overall, they're all pretty much molded very similar because you have to be, because they've gotten so well-rounded.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're just polishing that kind of athlete that they all kind of fit this mold. I mean, I love Conor McGregor, but, you know, when he was in like kind of his height or, you know, the height, but you start getting some of these other guys that, like Justin Gaethje, Justin Gaethje, who like I love watching him fight, and he, you know, and then you get like Cowboy Cerrone, and you get all these guys that are just different styles. You know, Jose Aldo, and but it's cool watching them and just like all the skills they learn.
Yeah,
because like jiu-jitsu is like only a portion of what they know, which is insane to me that they can put all these together. Like even when you think of like DC, like how good he is at grappling and wrestling and all that, but like he knows everything, and he's a big guy. Like he's not. I don't know how much you weigh or what you would fight at, but I mean, he's fighting what, heavyweight, light heavyweight. Yeah. Those are big crazy boys that are rolling and tumbling. So, so have you competed at that, or is this your first competition?
I competed in Boston when I was first starting as a white belt. Me and my friends all went down and we stayed in a hotel and did like a big group trip in Nashua, and we went and performed. Or I went and it was super early the tournament, so we went like the first day, spent the night, and then I think we spent 2 nights. But yeah, the tournament took all day. It was super long.
So what's in a how's a tournament run? Is it like elimination, round robin?
Sometimes I think it's this one coming up's round robin. I think that one was round robin too. And we went up, and it starts super early in the morning, and they have like 6 mats all the way across whatever room they're in. And there'll be a bunch going at a time. So it usually starts like with the young kids. They'll go first. And then on the other side, it'll be like white belts. And then I think it'll go blue, and it'll go up by that. And there'll also be, at the end, is no gi. So it's the same thing. Just you're not wearing a gi. So it'll go all day. Like it took forever.
Is there a difference between gi and no gi? Is it just like, obviously there's no cloth to grab, so
it's different grips and stuff like that. And I noticed a lot with no gi, it's a lot of leg locks. So a lot of people go for leg locks, foot locks, and knee bars and stuff like that because it's easy to grab your leg and yank on it and stuff. So with gi, there's a lot of people go for chokes and stuff. But I see a lot with no gi, they go for leg locks.
Just because you get closer to the body.
Yeah, and you get
or
more
less
to grab
fabric,
onto.
because fabric can slip.
Yeah.
Have you ever gone no gi?
Yeah, I did no. I competed in no gi because it was free with the fight with the gi. It was free to do it both, so I was like, I'll try it. But I didn't ever do no gi, like train it before I went into the competition. And the leg locks and stuff like that are just one after another.
But that would be like the advanced version. Like you'd think that no gi would be more advanced, or is they both just different?
No, just different. Like I'd personally rather train with a gi any day because you can it's cool because even tricks you can do with a gi, you can do on people with sweatshirts. You know what I mean? Like there's this submission called the bone arrow choke, where you'll basically grab their gi from one side and pull it around their neck, and then you'll grab their pant legs and you just extend your body, and it kind of chokes them out. And I roll a lot in my living room. Like with any friends that come over, it just ends up happening.
And these guys do jiu-jitsu also?
Some of them do. Some of them just were wrestlers in high school, or they just, you want to see like.
So it's not some like poor kid that's just like, what the heck are you doing?
Well, a lot of them try to test it too, to try to see, like they'll know how to do jiu-jitsu, and they'll try to do something. And I'm even curious because you want to test to see if it works. And I went against one of my friends, and I just grabbed, and it works with a shirt too. I just grabbed where I would grab the gi, and I just pulled the material under his neck, and then instead of grabbing his pants because they were wearing shorts, I just stuck my hand under and grabbed the hamstring, just extended, and it worked. So, and a lot of the chokes too that we do in jiu-jitsu, like we're learning a lot of ones that don't involve the gi as well, like just a rear naked choke or an arm bar. You don't need a gi, or knee on chest, a bunch of stuff you don't even need a gi for. But it's just cool because a lot of times people are wearing, when you go against people, they're probably gonna be wearing clothes anyways. Yeah. So you can just do the same thing, just pull tighter, and it works the same.
That's wild. Have you ever blacked out, been choked out?
Close a lot of the times.
I mean, you tap out before.
Yeah, like when me and my dad rolls, because in jiu-jitsu, the longer you do it, sometimes you'll learn that don't use too much strength, because jiu-jitsu is made for the little guy to beat the big guy. So if you're using too much strength, you don't want to do that. You want to result to just doing the move. So it's jiu-jitsu. You shouldn't be trying to overpower your opponent. So if you're trying to pull and yank, you don't want to use up all of your energy. So if you see something's not working, you're not going to keep using your energy trying to pull them. You're going to let go and try to do something else. So when my dad's rolling with me, sometimes he'll get me in a choke, and I'll try to hold out as long as I can. And if he sees it's not working, he'll let go because he doesn't want to use up his energy. So, but sometimes it does work.
So you're almost playing defense at that point.
Yeah, but sometimes he does have it in. But I'm trying to not show him that he does have it in, so he'll let go. And there'll be close times where I almost pass out. You know what I mean? But he'll end up, because I want him to think it's not working.
So there is some mind games as
all the time.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It sounds really cool because again, it's very simplistic. It's two people, like whatever obviously the end result would be, a choke or a tap or whatever.
Yep.
But they're both trying to do it to each other, and that's it. I mean, there's nothing else.
Yeah.
There's no equipment. There's no
exactly
really no bound. I mean, there's you would have to roll in a circle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you go out, but there's no cage or anything, it's just
So it's just like an open mat, and everybody will have their own section. They'll basically stay in it because people don't go like too far. They usually kind of stay in their own position. But yeah, it's tough. Like my first 4 months in, I got my arm hyperextended. Because we're brand new and we're trying to learn like arm bars and stuff. And if you're not careful, it's dangerous, especially when you're rolling. But he always say, Coach would be like, remember, it's not your first UFC fight, because everybody gets so like intense into it. But it's such a camaraderie, like the friendship and the family. Like we just had a pig roast dinner that we all did. Like everybody from our school went, and we had mats out on like the campground, and people were practicing and stuff. And it's such a family and such a good group of people, and everybody just wants to help each other get better.
How many people go roughly per class or per?
Sometimes there'll be like, I think the most I was in a class was like 30 people. Like
wow.
It fills up. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So it's starting to grow.
Yeah. And he does it Tuesdays in the morning, and then 2 classes at night on Tuesdays. And then he does the same thing on Thursday. Then he does a class on Saturday. Then he does a no-gi class right after that. And then he does a class on Sunday, and then does MMA class after that. And he lives in Vermont. So he comes over, and he just hard worker. He does so many classes.
Is he still a trooper?
No, he's retired, but he'll go up to Albany and he'll teach self-defense classes
gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Too. So he's constantly doing stuff. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, so he must be in phenomenal shape.
He's like, I think he's like 53, and he's the most in shape person I've ever seen in my life.
That's wild.
Like I wish to look like him when I'm that age. It's just, and he went against this one huge guy I was watching in class, and the guy and my coach is way smaller than this guy. He like passes his guard and accidentally like headbutts him and knocked him out. Like knocked him out. He had to wake him up.
Can you headbutt people?
No, and it was an accident. Like, they just hit heads, but he's like made of steel. You know what I mean? Like everything about it, because he's just hard. He's just like a rock. You know what I mean? So everything that he does like is strong and like it's crazy. I can't even describe how good this guy is.
So you've rolled with him before?
Yeah, but he just messes. Like he doesn't try to like when he just tries to help you. You know what I mean? Because obviously he can beat me no problem.
So I'm assuming you said 4th degree. He just moves so fluently that like it almost looks like he's like a jellyfish or something, just kind of moving around.
And he knows so much that like anything you could do any move to him. Like it's to the point where you can't even play defense because he'll make you give him something. Like if you don't want to give him an arm, he'll get that arm and give you an arm bar if he wants. So you could say, I want to get that left arm in an arm bar. And he could tell you that, and he'll get that.
Does he compete?
No. Sometimes he does, and he probably just cleans house.
I was gonna say, I find sometimes that, like guys that are just so good at teaching, they're just kind of like, I'm just over, like I'm over the competing part. I just want to train and help people. And
he says, when we ask him, he says there's like a sacrifice too you got to give when you decide to not compete. You decide to coach and stuff because you gotta focus on the people you're coaching and stuff and help them and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. No, I've heard good things about him for sure.
I definitely recommend it to anybody.
All right, so let's do some magic here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Can we go live on this? Are you cool with that?
Yeah, we can do it.
Let me see what I got here.
Let's see.
Let's try. I'm gonna try to do. Let's try Facebook. Maybe that would be more fun. Okay, let me see. Let me just make sure I'm not screwing this up because this will actually be the first time we've ever gone live.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
On a podcast. So I'm just trying to do this where I don't screw it up and we can actually... Wait, done. Oh, we can go on both of them? What a world.
Oh, that's cool.
What a world right now, folks. Okay, start live video. We're not going to do that. We're going to flip it. Tap to add a description. Live Magic on... Let me see if I can tag you in this. Wyatt. I wonder if I can... Oh, Wyatt Hackett Illusionist. Wow. Okay.
Is this Facebook or is this Instagram?
This is Facebook public post. Sorry, folks, if you're listening to this. This is going to be
very cool.
All over the place. But let me see if I can do... Nope, I think we're good. Live video. Start live video. Starting live broadcast. This is awesome. Okay, we're live.
Very cool.
So, folks, I'm trying to see if people... Wait, we're going to zoom back here. Okay, folks, this is live. Galen Trombley Show, episode 198 with Wyatt Hackett. It should be coming out tomorrow or the next day. Maybe tonight if I'm feeling ambitious, but we're going to get some live magic. This is Wyatt. You'll listen to the podcast. We won't dive in too much. He's fantastic. He's going to do us some cool tricks here. So take it away.
Perfect. Okay, so can you name a number for me 1 through 10? Doesn't matter.
Got it.
What number would you like? Doesn't even matter.
Tell you? 5.
Yeah.
5.
Is 5 your favorite, 1 through 10, or do you not have a favorite?
No, we'll just go 5.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a favorite.
Okay, tell me when to stop. It doesn't matter where.
Right there.
Don't look, just, or you can take this. Is it a
Should I
good
show
number?
should I show the crowd?
Is it a good number?
Should I show the crowd? Okay. It's a great number.
Is it 5?
It is 5.
Look, though, we'll try it this way, too. Here. Can you actually take this deck from me? You want me to hold it for you to see so they can...
Okay.
The other way?
Yep.
Like, you want me to hold the phone for you? You're going to do the whole trick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Just
Flip it around.
Like this.
Okay.
Okay. So ready? Deal cards one at a time, face down from the top in a pile. Yeah, as many as you want.
Just like
right
this?
There. Yeah, you stop whenever you want.
Whoa. I didn't give it away, folks. Okay, stop.
And then put that deck aside. We don't need it anymore. You can pick up those cards and deal them into 2 piles back and forth. We're just going to make a combined card here.
All the way through?
Yeah.
Okay.
So flip over the top card in each pile. We're going to make a combined card. So you're going to take the value of one card and the suit of the other. So do you want the 8 of hearts or do you want the 2 of spades? It's up to you.
Got it.
What would you like?
Tell you?
Yep.
2 of spades.
You sure?
Yes.
It's up to you.
I want 2 of spades.
Whatever you pick right now, it's going to be your choice.
2 of spades.
You don't want to change it.
I do not.
And you dealt as many cards as you wanted?
Yes.
See that deck right there?
Yes.
Flip over the deck and look at the bottom card.
I don't know. I don't know.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. So I'll give you
you.
this back. That was pretty wild.
Isn't that one weird? I don't even know how.
See, that's the best one. We just talked about that, like
Thank
getting
you.
people involved, getting the audience involved. But I have
I don't even know how that one's done. You know,
It's
that was
kind of
one of
like
my
pulling eggs
craziest-
out of your shoes, right?
Yeah, exactly. But okay, we'll try this one too. Sometimes it works.
Okay.
But this one's one of those 10% of the times it works. Look, I'll do it
Every time?
I'll do it with my eyes closed. That will be really fair. Okay, let's see here. See, I can feel. Yeah. This seems like a good one too. Okay, ready? I'm gonna turn my head. Just tell me when to stop. It's up to you.
Stop.
Don't show me this card. You can show the camera though. Do you like it or you want to change it?
We'll keep it.
Okay. Put the card in the deck wherever you'd like. It doesn't even matter.
Want me to make it flush?
Wherever. Yeah.
I mean, do you want to see it sticking out?
No. I don't want to know where it is.
Okay. Got it. A little sloppy. Okay. There we go.
Good?
Yes.
Okay. Watch this. I'll close my eyes again. Try to feel where the card would be. Now it's hard. Usually I put the card back in the deck, but you put it back into the deck this time, right?
Yeah, and your eyes were closed.
And I shuffled it before, so this is going to be really hard. Let's see.
Shuffling before, shuffling after.
Name any number 1 through 52 and you'll be in that location.
24.
1, 2,
This is
3,
wild.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. How crazy would it be if this was your card?
This would be, yes.
There would be no way.
This would be pretty wild.
Your card?
No.
This wasn't it?
No.
What was it?
Is this one of those ones where you're screwing with me?
I don't know.
What was it? It was the Jack of Clubs.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You see that card protruding out?
Oh, are you kidding
You
me?
see that? Where it says extra pens and cards. Other cards. There's one card.
Wait, are you kidding me?
There's
right
one
now?
card.
What the hell?
Pull that out. Yeah, take that card out. Let's see.
What?
Look.
Dude, that is
Is that your card? Yeah.
That's insane.
That doesn't make any sense. How is that possible? Are you kidding me? That doesn't make sense.
What the hell?
I got goosebumps from that one. That one was crazy.
Okay, folks. So people that can't see, because we're going live here. Wait, if we flip this around. Okay, this guy's been, I don't know what he just did. But I'll give you an idea. I'm going to flip it back around because he looks better flipping the cards than me talking. So he just did a trick. I picked out the card. I put it back in. Again, he had his eyes closed, shuffling it all around. I said 24, favorite number. He picked out the card. It was wrong in the deck. Then he told me to look up. And if anybody's been in my office, I'm sitting in my normal seat. Above me is a shelf that I would argue is probably 6.5, 7 feet above the ground. And it was wedged between two boxes that have not been touched probably in a while, sitting up there. And then the other thing is on the back of his card was like your logo. So it wasn't check him out on TikTok.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Isn't
So
that
basically he did not move, and the card that I picked that I gave back to him somehow went across. I actually have like goosebumps on this. Went across the room, up about 10 feet away, up about 7 feet, and was wedged between two boxes. And you never left the seat. And your eyes were closed.
That is weird.
So
We'll try
that was
another one.
insane.
This will be more fair because I feel like
More fair. That was like
Yeah.
I literally I don't know how you did it.
You know what though?
I mean everybody says that with Magic, but I'm saying you physically did not leave your seat, and there's a card.
What's not fair though is to make it more fair and
That
more
I don't know
challenging
what I'm doing.
to me is if we use two cards. So this time we're gonna take the value of one card, right? Like we did the other one and the suit of the other. So the first card you pick, let's say it's a 5. You'd remember the 5. Second card, let's say it's club, be 5 of clubs. Okay.
Correct.
That way, when we put the two cards together, it's gonna be so hard because then it's unlimited combinations. All right. So look, ready? Wherever you want, doesn't matter.
Right there.
So don't look at this card. That's just gonna be the number card that you use.
Okay, don't look at it.
Yeah. Tell me to stop again.
Right there.
So then this will be the suit card. So number of that card and suit of that card, you should have a combined card. You can look at it now.
Look both?
Yeah, just the number of the first
Does it matter
card.
which one I show first?
You can do that one because that's the first one. Just remember that number though.
So this is the
We
number.
don't care about the suit.
Okay, there we go. We got the number, and then the next one's a suit.
Yep, so the suit. So if that was a 9, that was a diamond, it'd be 9 diamonds.
Okay.
So we got a combined card and then put those two wherever. So that way,
And I should remember both of these.
no, just remember the number and suit of, because you're going to have a combined card. So let's say that first.
But I can pick one right now just so I don't forget.
What do you mean? Like, you see this card?
That's
Say that
my number.
Say that was, yeah, and then the suit.
Yep. Oh, so that's I got you.
So
Okay.
now you got a combined
Yep,
card.
I got both
And
of
then put them in different locations. That
Okay.
way, it's impossible for me. There's so many combinations in a deck of cards. I won't know which
Okay.
one to look for, and makes it much more difficult. Because, if you were to shuffle cards,
And then can I cut them?
yeah, as much as you want. And if you were to shuffle cards,
I have no
since
clue where these cards are. I'm literally doing like drunk shuffling right now with one hand as I'm trying to record. Okay.
that means there should be one card you have in your head right now.
Yes, I have the card in my head. So for folks that aren't seeing, he gave me two cards. One was a number. So basically it was like a card and a card. So I take the number and the suit, put them together. We have that. I drunk shuffled it back into the deck.
That way, there's no way. Because if you were to shuffle cards since the day like the Earth was started until now,
Big
you would
Bang.
never have the same combination because there's so many. So this combination that you shuffled right now will be different from any combination ever. You know what I mean? So look, what's crazy is this. When you find it this way, though, this is the most efficient way when they tell you to find a card.
I'm still shook by the last one. Sorry. Keep going.
Yes. This is the one.
No. Of
course
Okay,
it's
where
not.
where is it now?
That would be too easy. This is the one-handed card trick. Watch. What was the card for the first time?
Oh my god. You want the actual thing?
Yeah.
10 of hearts. I don't. Jesus.
Are you?
I'm like shook right now. This is.
How? That makes no sense at all. Yeah.
I don't even get.
I have 52 of them in my pocket.
This is.
No, just kidding. No, that's cheating. That's crazy. Yeah, so stuff like that, that one.
Yeah, just simple stuff like that.
Just
Yes,
more
you
to-
learn that in your local
Yeah, magic shop.
local magic shop. That's
No,
insane.
Yeah, that one's 100% original too. Like both of those.
Really?
Yeah, I made both those tricks up.
That's insane. And so again, for people watching on the video that have not watched this whole thing, he's been telling like how he's been doing all this stuff all the way like how he comes up with ideas and tricks and things like that. And a lot of the tricks he does are completely original, that he just takes different themes of magic and combines them.
Correct. Just to make it.
I don't know how that was done. I don't know how any of this is done, but like my mind is blown. So again, I should say this, so people watching live, I got two things going here. So the one we just did, we combined everything, 10 of hearts. So what he did was he obviously again showed me the wrong card on top of the deck. Then he reached into his pocket and pulls out, I don't know the dimension, maybe 18 inches by 12 inch folded up card that he unfolds to make 12 by 18. So this massive, big unfolded card, that is the 10 of hearts, which is what I had originally, that he folded all up.
Yeah.
So it's just,
weird stuff.
again, it's just weird how this happens. But so again, for people that can't see, we got a card on the table that's this massive card that's probably like, I don't know, 20 times the size of a regular card, which was the card that I combined and was in his pocket, that I picked both randomly out of the deck.
Yeah. And another thing, too, that we got to mention is that with card tricks, right, it's hard because the reason card tricks fool so many people is because when you start mixing them up, like it's easy to follow one card, but when you mix them up, then it gets confusing to find, which card. So look, this time I'll show you, since you're going to decide this whole trick. Does this look about halfway, give or take a few?
Give or take 4, yeah.
Yeah. So I would have put these 5s upside down just to mark the halfway point. Okay? And what we're going to do is we'll use this red king and then we'll use this black king. Okay? So what you're going to do is if you think this card is red, I'll put it in the red pile. If you think it's black, we'll put it in the black pile. It's up to you.
So I just pick red or black?
Yeah, you tell me whatever.
Okay, go red.
We'll go until we get to the 5s.
Okay. Red, black, red, red, black, 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 red, black, red, black, 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 red, 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 red. Really try to screw them up here. Black, black. Hey Stetson. Black, black.
All right, perfect. Now, you ever
and Carissa, sorry about that.
You ever hear in psychology how your left side controls one half and your right side controls a different half of your brain?
Yep.
So this time we're flipping it completely. If you think it's black, you're going to do it right here this time. If you think it's red, it's right here. So the rest of the deck, wherever you think.
Okay, so same thing. So black, 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 black. This is going to be weird.
Just put them all in black.
Red, red, black, red, red, black, black, red, 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 black, red, red, black, red, and black, 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 black. Okay, in just a sec, for people that did not know and they kept hearing me say black and red, we got 2 cards. One's a king of hearts. One's a red king of heart. Well, obviously hearts, and then we have a king of spades. And then he was putting in red or black under those categories, and he flipped it. And then there's a 5 of clubs and a 5 of diamonds, and red and black on those 2.
This was your complete choice as well?
These were my complete choices. And anybody on Instagram, and if you're listening to this, go to my Facebook page. You'll see the live video. So go ahead.
You don't want to change anything.
You're messing with me. Switch the last 2 cards. This is insane.
Anything else? Or you feel comfortable?
It's
up to you. I don't want you to think
actually do this.
As well.
Switch the 5th card in of each pile. So go down 5 cards.
5.
Take that one and switch it.
Put it here so we don't get a mix.
Okay, and then take 5.
3, 4, 5.
And then switch that one and switch. And switch both of those.
Like this, and you want this one here?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is gonna be freaky.
Good.
Yes.
So you think all these are black?
Yes.
And all these? Are you kidding me? Look at every single one you got right.
This is insane.
Your switching was right.
That's because my mind powers are so good that I changed them all, right?
That's crazy. That's how magicians practice their intuition. So you're pretty spot on.
Is that how you organize a deck too?
Yeah. So now it's organized. Isn't that
so
crazy?
now we got our green or our reds and our blacks and everything.
It's crazy.
This is insane. So most of these tricks, you just did what, 3 different tricks, 4 different tricks?
Yeah.
All of those, are those ones you've done before, or do you find that like that one you said is kind of an original one you made up?
So yeah, and that one, I didn't even know I was going to do that one, to be honest. I literally did it.
So that was just kind of one of the ones you said you just kind of freestyle as you go.
Yeah, like that wasn't even like a thought.
So
Just happened like literally just now when we were doing it.
you just thought it'd be a good place to stick
Yeah,
it.
I was like, we could do this trick.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So this is how you really roll when you do tricks. Like,
Yeah,
you just
all
kind
the
of like
time.
off the cuff.
Just everything. Like right now, I don't even.
This is crazy. Like people that are listening, people on the live, like this is like goosebump kind of freakiness.
Isn't that crazy? And what's cool too, though, is this box. You see how it's empty? I even wrote my name on it. Because watch, just so I know, this is the magic box. Make sure that's an ordinary box. There's nothing weird about that, right?
Okay, regular box, folks. Bicycle opens up.
I'm going to teach you a trick with that box. So.
His name's on it. Let me see. There it is. That's actually who he is, and a signature.
This is what's cool, though. Look at. Watch how fair everything is in this trick, okay? I'm just going to show you. I'm not moving anything around. I'm not going to drop my hands below the table. Everything's going to be right here in front. So just take a card out. It doesn't matter which one you pick. It's a free choice.
So you want me to?
No, anyone you want.
Show
Right.
the crowd.
Yeah, just don't show me.
Okay.
We like it?
Love it.
Okay. Look at, it doesn't matter too. And I'll go like this just to be fair as well. Don't forget what the card is.
Yep.
And I'll show you it's not here or here. Just be fair. Okay. Now this one's cool because a lot of times when I do tricks, I drop cards all the time. Like sometimes the worst is when I drop the whole deck. But what happens is, look, I'll do half face up, half face down just to show you. Because when I scoop them up, this is what it looks like because they drop in different directions. But don't tell me if you see your card. We're just going to do it with all of them. But this happens so much that like in high school, I just leave them. I wouldn't even pick them up because it's embarrassing. But I make a trick out of it now. So you see, half face up, half face down. Because when you scoop them up, it ends up in this big mess. And it's a pain to sort through. So I'll show you got back to face cards that are face to back. Sometimes you got the back to the back ones. And look, what I figured is if you put it in this box like this and you mix it, they all go back to normal because the frame of the box shuffles them back in place. So they go back to normal. Except for one card, though. What was your card?
3 of clubs.
That should do it. Yeah. Look at dead in the center, too. Exactly halfway is the 3 of clubs.
Oh, God.
Makes no sense.
It makes no sense. Again, so people that can't see, he mixed all the cards up, moved them all around, put them in an empty box, shook the box up. They all went back face forward. The other ones were, like you said, back to back, all over the place.
All over.
Ended up putting them all back, flipped it out, put them all down. The only one that was face down was the one that we had picked originally, which was the 3 of clubs.
Yeah, that's like. Do you have? If you have, you don't have to tell me if you do, but do you have? Some people do, like a favorite card in the deck. Some people do have it, but
my favorite number is 24, so I have no favorite card on the deck.
oh, that makes sense. So because there's not okay.
Yes,
Well,
maybe a 2 and a 4.
Yeah, that works. But so we'll use this later. Tell me when to stop. Doesn't matter.
Right there.
So if I'll actually name a card too.
An actual card?
Yeah.
Let's do the 2 of clubs.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll grab the 2 of clubs out of here too, because that one usually helps me find it. Did you pick 2 because you're first 24?
Well, that and club looks like a shamrock.
Oh, there
Closest
you
you
go.
can get.
Hey. All right. Tell me
There you go.
Tell me when to stop. It doesn't matter.
Right there.
So look, if I put this one next to the 2, it helps. Watch. Tell me when to stop again.
There.
Okay. So we'll use these ones. So look, the 2 and the 4, because 24 is your favorite number.
Jeez.
So isn't it crazy how they go together like that? Like it doesn't even make sense. And what's crazy though is since 2 of clubs is your favorite, one of my favorite ways to get rid of a card. Look, I'll actually do it like this. I'll actually put it here. This should work as well. When I mix them like this is when it gets confusing, right? But what's cool is the cards always go back to each other no matter where it is. So if we take your card, the 2 of clubs, right? And we'll place it just right there so I can't use it. And okay, you see this card?
Yep.
So I'm going to say, for argument's sake, this is my favorite card, just so we can play the game right? If I take this card like this, put your finger on your card. So
Wait. All right. There we go.
your favorite card and my favorite card.
Okay.
Did you see it happen yet?
No, but
The moment in time when they switched? Go ahead.
I
don't even know.
I
I don't even know what's happening right now.
so Basically, long story short, he had cards. He had a card in his hand. He put a card on the ground, told me to put my finger on it, showed me the card, went back. The card I had my finger on, switched places with the one he just showed me, which was not with his finger on. This is like voodoo stuff right here, folks.
It's bizarre.
People watching, this is who it is. Wyatt Hackett, magician from the Adirondacks. Wyatt, let's sign off there.
Yeah.
I don't want to give all your tricks away, but that was.
Tip of the
I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. My favorite one though was the one again, folks. I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here. He shot it up 10 feet away, about 6-7 feet up in the air, wedged between two boxes, never left his chair. And I gave him the card. He saw the card. It was on the table. So unless some ghost Casper's in my room, I don't know. I don't get it. But Wyatt, magician from the Adirondacks, Illusionist, Instagram Live. Here it is. Check him out. Absolutely insane. I don't know. You just did 5 tricks, and my mind is spinning right now. Some of them actually are giving me goosebumps, which is maybe a good thing.
And it's with a normal deck of cards. That's the best thing to remember.
Then it is normal deck. The only thing it does say on it, folks, is if you want.
That's a stamp. Yeah,
it's a stamp. Check out my Instagram and TikTok at Wyatt Hackett _illusion.
That's right.
That's where they can find you in all the.
Yeah, and it's on the cards. I just got a stamp version and put it on the back of them. That way, when I lose cards, I rip them. You know,
that's insane. So if you guys want to find him, at Wyatt Hackett, WYATTHACKETT _illusion, right?
Yep.
And perfect. I don't know. He just blew my mind for 10 minutes, but the whole conversation was great. Instagram Live. We're going to sign off. Wyatt, you actually had a decent amount of people. We got some people that want your autograph, and mine too. Well, Stetson, we maybe can make that happen, but it's not worth much. So Wyatt's maybe, mine 0. But awesome, Wyatt. This was crazy. So I appreciate it. We're signing off on Facebook Live, and we'll continue with the podcast for another minute. But that's all right. Perfect. Bye, folks.
Thank you, guys.
Dude, that's insane.
Did you like it?
I did. We're still live, so
cool. Yeah.
But this, I don't know. So the trick that you went up there.
Yes.
That one blew. I don't even know. The one where you pulled the card out was insane too. But I think the one that you threw up there was the most impressive.
You like that one? That's good.
Because you never moved out of your seat.
Yeah, I was literally like, I don't even understand how that's possible.
So like that actually was like, you know, when somebody like creeps up behind you and scares you and you don't know they're there. That's kind of the idea when like I looked up. And at first, and again, I should have known this. I just interviewed you for 2 hours. That you basically were like, "Is this your card?" And I'm like, "Oh, this poor kid actually screwed up his first trick." And then, nope, turn around, buddy. There it is, up in the top. So, yeah, I don't know. That was, whoops, share it. Make sure we're sharing live magic on the Galen Trombley show with, I just got to make sure I thought I would have already put you on there. Wyatt Hackett. So, Wyatt, where are you going to be? What's our next opportunity for people to come check you out? So, that was insane.
Yeah, today's Tuesday, so tomorrow I'll be at Docks on the Water from 5 to 8. So you should be doing some tableside magic.
And if people want to hire you or people want to reach out and
either,
how can they do it?
Either one of those, you know, a lot of people just call me or text me. I get things on Facebook Messenger a lot for any party event, you know, birthday parties, weddings, literally anything you can think of. Will perform for. So yeah, stage shows, close-up shows. Yeah.
And I'm assuming that this is just something that's like, this is a passion for life. You think you're just going to run with this?
Yeah, this is literally, you know.
Dude, you're incredible, man.
I just graduated college and people ask me, you know, what I'm doing next. It's magic. It's my full-time thing. I love it, you know, so that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
And again, I'm assuming you might have some more egg tricks down, pulling eggs out of shoes and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hey man, I appreciate this. You're absolutely incredible. We'll put some show notes in, make sure we get this out for people, but, this was the most hands-on fun demonstration I've ever had on the podcast.
That means a lot to me. It really
so yeah,
does.
so I don't know if it's as big as, the America's Got Talent or the Mayor's Cup or whatever, the Plaster's Got Talent, but this was pretty cool. So
this was an honor that, you know, for you to have me on here. I appreciate it so much. And it's an awesome one-of-a-time experience, and I really appreciate you having me. This is great. I love it.
Dude, you're absolutely incredible. So, all right, guys, it's episode 198. Wyatt Hackett, magician, illusionist. Just check him out. He's absolutely incredible. That's it. We're out.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Galen Trombley Show. If you want to reach me, you can go on Facebook at Galen Trombley, on Instagram at Galen Trombley, and on YouTube at Galen Trombley. The spelling, GaelanTrombley.